I can hear you every time you go. Yeah, I can hear you snorting.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Overwatch League. Day 2, Day 1, I've lost track, you've all probably lost track, but it doesn't matter because we're back here to cast the Asian games. My name's Bren, I'm joined by Sideshow. He's going to be in a box next to me to my left or my right. I'm not too sure because we're actually reporting from home this time around. But Josh, how the devil are you? How have you been keeping yourselves busy? Huh?
I've been pretty good, thank you. I am pretty good. I like to imagine that we're actually physically next to each other, just kept in our own little isolation boxes, where we're not allowed to interact with each other at all. We don't really know about the outside world. All we know is Overwatch is happening, and it's going to be great tonight.
Yeah, it is happening, and it's filling the void in my life, certainly. So the first match of the night is going to be Chengdu Hunters versus the Shanghai Dragons. Bound to be a smashing one. We've seen these teams play previously, about 24 hours ago, actually, precisely. and we saw some interesting stuff. We kind of theorized that these teams would have these little meta bubbles being created based on the regions where they'd be playing, and we're already started kinding to see that a little bit at least. I mean, the thing with Chengdu is you can't really take anything they play seriously, so we don't know for sure if a meta's really developing with that team.
I mean, Eamon was playing Wrecking Ball. That's all you need to know. Eamon was playing Wrecking Ball. Jinmu was playing the Pharah. It was beautiful to watch. And they're up against a team that's going to mirror them in some of these kind of a little more loose styles. Shanghai Dragons is another team that's perfectly happy to play the Wrecking Ball whenever they want to, bring out the Doom Fist, this kind of stuff. They don't really like to play the meta. It's much more brawly and reliant on their DPS.
Yeah, and if we take a look at the Chengdu starting roster, you can see the amount of talent that is packed on here. Jinmu and Leave, these two individuals, have been having great demonstrations of their skill, I would say, throughout the entirety of yesterday at least, but wasn't quite enough to really clinch it, although they did come very, very close.
That's true.
And it's nice to finally see Leave play as well, because this is a guy who has always had a legendary status in the Overwatch scene, but he's, believe it or not, never been old enough to join the Overwatch League until now.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen him at World Cup where he was able to perform and have outrageously good performances for Team China. But this is our first taste of how he's been able to do. And playing that Tracer for the majority of the previous match, he was able to have a lot of impact and synced up well with Eamon. So I quite like it. It's starting to kind of see what heroes he's able to play at a truly elite level, because his hero pool, you would normally expect it just to be endless. He looks so comfortable and everything.
And on the other side of it, we've got the Shanghai Dragons, and they've decided to actually switch up their lineup even more, compared to yesterday at least. These are some strange changes in the grand scheme of things, but this is a stacked roster. They've got a lot of talent tucked away, and now it's up to Coach Moon to just engage his brain to maximum efficiency, you know, see how he can work the pieces together.
Yeah, apparently, you know, Fled had been benched because he was too clever for the team. Too powerful, too clever. Get the custard treatment. Yeah, he gets sat on the bench. But Ding and DM, I think this team has the most DPS power on the bench, on the roster, but it's kind of specialized.
Really?
I think so.
You'd say that over Shock?
I mean, yeah, I think so. I think when you actually look at who are the potentially like best hit scan in the world, like DM's kind of up there, best fire in the world, Ding is kind of up there. The thing is, it's spread out on different heroes, so you never have a holistic lineup. That's why Shanghai Dragons used to run triple DPS previously, because people have their specialties, but they're not really like wholesale flexible across the board. Yeah. Now, the one that springs out to me most of all, though, is Fearless. Fearless being
this is a weird one, right?
Yeah, It has been 652 days since he was last in the Overwatch League. He played for the Shanghai Dragons team that went 0-40, and he personally has gone 0-22 with 13 maps won and 76 maps lost. So this is a redemption arc like no other. This is just the epitome. And for him to come from the previous Shanghai Dragons team to have been grinding in Tier 2 and then come back into Shanghai Dragons, if he can have success today, he has thoroughly redeemed himself.
Yeah, now as we take a look at the hero pools as well, we'll see what heroes he won't be playing. Spoiler alert, it's Winston. Winston, the one hero that he was really performing well with back when he was in the Tier 2 scene. He was grinding it up. And as you said, Josh, this is Fearless's game. I want everybody to pay attention to this redemption arc story of when he joined Shanghai Dragons back when they were first formed, when they, let's be real, a bit of a Garbo team, and now they've turned it around. This is his time to really shine, and we'll see if he can do it. And let's take a look at the maps that they're going to be playing on as well as we go into the map set. As you can see, Josh, take us away.
Yeah, we're going to be beginning out on Nepal here, so no Winston, but a lot of teams have been playing the Wrecking Ball in these kind of maps. Move over to Dorado, where we'll see both of these teams, I think, play a lot of fire in this kind of engaging style. Iconval, Volsky, Lijiang, all of these maps kind of lend themselves to the scrappy way in which Chengdu and Shanghai both play.
Yeah, it's bound to be a good one. I'm quite excited for it. Shanghai is the team that we've always predicted, at least out of the Chinese teams, the one who's the top dog, potentially even one of the best teams we've got in the league right now. And they're going to be going up against the Chengdu Hunters, which are always the wild card. They're a bit chaotic. You never really know what they're going to pull out, but every now and then they come out with a bit of spice, a bit of upset potential. But we're going to be heading into map 1 right now, and it's going to be, as I mentioned, the Chengdu Hunters versus the Shanghai Dragons.
And on Nepal. And on Nepal, we've seen teams go for a mixture of strategies. We've seen them go for Occasionally teams running the Wrecking Ball with like a Doomfist and a Fire and or some kind of Tracer combination in there, but a lot of teams are starting to move over to a previous composition where you have the Zen and the Batiste with an Orisa and a Sigma, and that really plays nicely into massive shield shredding. So as we start out here on Sanctum, it'll be interesting to see what the road that both of these teams take is. This one definitely lends itself more to the Orisa kind of centric gameplay, I would say, but the other two maps, it's totally open, whatever kind of style you want to impose on the map.
Yeah, and the Lucio hero pool rotation, with him not being able to be played, really does affect a lot of the compositions teams are playing. Double shield back in fashion. Often the best thing to counteract double shield was to just actually speed boost directly past them, but can't do that anymore. But as you can see, the team's rolling out here. Chengdu, Jinmu just going to be pounding in a bit of damage here with the arrows, just seeing if he can get an early pick-off. Gets ate up though by Void, and Fearless holding the front line, just letting his shield recharge, waiting patiently.
This composition that Chengdu are running is what a lot of teams were practicing in scrims before the Overwatch League actually began. They thought this would be the best composition. And then this May McCree stuff started to take over. So let's see how good Shanghai are at what most teams would consider to be the default comp. Li Jae-gon on the Brig, he's desperately wishing that Lucio was back.
Oh yeah, 100%, as you can see now. Lee is going to look for a pick-off. The wall goes up. Locks a couple of the members of Shanghai on the other side, but Shanghai say, you're not trapped in here against each other. They try and make some moves, bit of damage being pumped in here by Fearless. Shield's almost breaking, but it is really just a war of attrition between these two sides. They don't really want to be giving up too much. Fearless perfectly happy, despite being walled off, to just go aggressive into them, but it looks like Jinmu does find a kill into Li Jae-gong. Izayaki follows up, and with the two healers gone, it's going to look pretty bad right now for Shanghai. The good news for them, though, is that they have got capture point percentage. They've got a couple of more bodies on the point, so they'll tick it over, but Chengdu are going to win out this team fight eventually.
Chengdu were going to win out the team fight without expending any ultimates as well. It was just the picks coming out from Jinmu. And Jinmu's such a good Hangzhou. If you give him any opportunities, he will find them. Jinmu, Ding, DM, they're all actually really incredible Hangzhous, and I'm sure that Leave has a ridiculous one as well. Just the diversity on both of these teams. This is now going to be very difficult for Shanghai to crack. To get in through such a tiny choke point with 6 ults up essentially across the board is going to be really hard.
You can see the damage being pumped into them. Elsa wants to use the Gravitic Flux early. He pumps a ton of damage in, and look at that! Elsa collapses into them. The Holt comes out as well from Eamon, and that's all you need, really. Holt, one of the most powerful abilities in the game. One of the main reasons that you will see these players playing Orisa. You might think it's because of the shields. The Horse Lady packs a punch, and the Holt definitely helps.
Yeah, this is still going to be tough for Shanghai to get in here. You can see that they've made changes to move themselves over to the double shield as well. But pushing into a Blizzard and pushing into a Dragon here, it requires a lot of thought as to how to tackle it. Eamon's just setting up, okay, a flank around the right-hand side.
Ooh, but they've been spotted almost immediately, and that's going to cause the rally to come out by Li Jae-gong. You can see them trying to get a freeze up here. Ding just putting in the damage. Nice Discord Orb onto Elsa. Obliterates him, takes him out of the fight. And Shanghai, with a clever little pincer maneuver, they're able to eventually pull it up. And we've got a pause. So look at this. I'm just going to actually sit back on my stool and look at the camera like nothing actually changed. You know, I've been here the whole time, chat. Don't worry about me.
You are a consummate professional, Bren, and that's why we love you. Yeah.
Of course.
I like that break, though, from Shanghai. If you kind of replay the fight in your head and what happened, they realized that there was a bunch of ultimates up. If they just walk in straight through main, they're going to get blizzarded. There's a Transcendence. They don't have the tools to be able to maneuver through. So instead, they ask a question of Chengdu. They say, if we move over to the right-hand side and try and come in through this flank with our Mei and our Sigma, how are you going to respond? And the answer was, we're not going to respond. We're actually just going to crumble. We're going to fall over like a plank.
Ignore you.
So yeah, that's not an effective way, and that I think is why Chengdu likes to play non-meta stuff a lot, is because they don't really have everything ironed out. They don't have all of the responses to how they should play the meta really hard-coded into their brain. They just like to YOLO it a bit. Put Jinmu and Leave on some crazy heroes where they can have high impact and just kind of run by intuition.
Yeah, they've always been that kind of team where they like to rely on throwing the enemy off, the opposition, with a funky strategy.
Yeah,
and this is what they've kind of gained a reputation for thus far. But it is interesting to see at least how the level of play. I was anticipating Chengdu to be a lot weaker coming into this these matches, at least when we would see them. But I think the time they've had off, I mean, it has been 8 weeks, and realistically, the amount of practice time that a team would get, it's been increased dramatically if you're an Asian team in that region, and the amount of practice partners you have is quite limited, honestly. And so these teams are going to be practicing against each other in a rotation of sorts. So they're going to be playing against each other a lot. They're going to know what they like to play a lot. And in some ways, you would think that makes Chengdu a bit weaker because they're suddenly a bit less predictable. But at the same time, eventually, you got to think, you practice enough times, eventually you kind of just get dragged up to the level of your opponents, you know?
Yeah, and also, because they're playing in the Asian region, you've got all of those Korean contenders teams to be able to play against, which is kind of where the most advanced Tier 2 level is in Overwatch. So even if they don't want to scrim against their partners, they can scrim against some other decent teams, assuming that they're able to play as well during the global pandemic that we've got going on at the moment. But yeah, I've been fairly impressed with how Chengdu have played. I think the addition of Leave was absolutely necessary, though, to add a bit more firepower. And Molly, someone that we haven't really talked about very much, but this Zenyatta specialist that was added to Chengdu Hunters has been turning up. I saw a couple of moments where they were just a little off-kilter with Molly, but generally speaking, the additional firepower from the backline has been really strong. And you pair Molly alongside Battle, who's just always been rock solid on main support, and you've got yourself a very capable backline now.
Well, the game is getting unpaused and we're heading straight back into it. Where do we leave off? Well, if you're like me and you have the memory of a goldfish, we're actually pausing again. I'm going back to the camera. I mean, I thought I could get away with it, Josh. I thought I could just step off for a second, but they're not having it. They're not having it. Not tonight.
You think you're out and they drag you back in. Yeah. They drag you back in.
Drag you back in. I tell you what, though. I need a haircut. I'm going to be real with you. Yeah, this quarantine stuff, I mean, it's getting to me. Apparently the Google search results for how to cut your own hair have increased by about 10,000%.
I would totally believe that. I mean, did you see what Dogman did? He called it
he just shaved it all off.
Yeah, I think that's what you call a mental breakdown in most circles, but he called it the quarantine challenge. I don't know who challenged him to do it, or whether he got anybody else to do it.
I think it is a genuine challenge, because my friends from the UK have been doing it.
Are you sure they didn't just see Dogman?
Either that or Dogman has more clout than we thought, but the game has been unpaused. We're heading back into it.
Wait, Lee Jae-gon threw himself off the side.
Bro, I'm gonna be real with you. Every time I say the game has been unpaused, they repause it. So I'm just gonna stop talking. I see the game being played.
Shut up.
Okay,
just
apologies.
Shut up. I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but I think in the middle of all of these pauses, Lee Jae-gon has just wandered off the side. Presumably that's what this pause was for.
Right.
I think we saw it yesterday. Somebody.
Okay. Dude, it was Jinmu.
I think it was Jinmu, yeah. He just walked off the side. So I don't know what's going on here, but the players are losing the will to live and just throwing themselves off cliffs. Virtually, of course. Virtually.
Well, I believe we're going to be going to a break, and when we come back, the game should be resumed.
I run down the street, right? And all of a sudden, huge explosion comes in there. It's like, no! And there's some cold chaos and it's shitting. I was going, no! And I'm like,
Download now.
Oh, welcome back, everybody. Did you miss me? Probably not. But I've got some... I've actually got no news for you. I was going to say unfortunate news. It's not really good news. I mean, we're just back here waiting for the unpause, I suppose. The good news about not having any information as to why we're paused, though, is that we can speculate, Josh. And we can just imagine the reason why. Last time it was Jinmu that walked into traffic on Oasis with his blade yesterday. I've done that before, and I'll tell you how it happens. You get so excited when you're blading, you get a couple of kills. You whip your mouse around so hard, you actually unplug your keyboard while you're holding W, and your character just moves forward. So that's what I think happened to Jinmu. I don't know if that's what's happened to Lee Jae-gong.
Oh, probably.
We are back into the game. I'm not even going to mention anything else because I don't want them to pause again. But we're here, still in round one, still here in Chengdu versus Shanghai. And Jinmu's going to be looking for an opening pick now onto the hands. You can see him spamming in an hour or two. Here's the Hulk comes up. Any combo potential? Not quite. Aiming actually drops down the Supercharger. Ultimate's being committed here. Blizzard from Ding. And they are going to find a pick onto Jinmu, so that takes away a lot of the damage potential now from the Chengdu Hunters. The Ding falls as well, so it's going to be the 1-for-1 trade. Still anyone's game, Josh.
Yeah, Ding was miles ahead of the rest of his team. He was the only person in the midst of that Blizzard. Molly used the Transcendence, and nobody from Shanghai followed up.
Oh, no, what is going on here? This is Yaki?
Everyone's split up all over the map. I mean, the Shanghai Dragons have been boomed by this pause. I don't think they quite know what's going on.
This is chaos, Josh! What am I witnessing? Izayaki gets caught out of position, has to use his Transcendence. That's a sideshow Transcendence if I've ever seen one. And then they yoink off the edge of the map. The Chengdu Hunters, they look like they're in a very solid position to take this now. 80% on the capture point. They've got a forward control position. The Immortality Field's getting committed, but Ding falls anyway. And Shanghai are crumbling. Oh my word, the Amplification Mages is going to be just pounding in damage through the choke point as well. Chengdu Hunters just really cementing themselves now into this choke point. You can see the ultimates coming out fearless. A desperate last-ditch effort here as he uses the Supercharge, but no one can even touch the point. And honestly, I don't know how much to blame on the mental booming of the pause or what, but that just fell to pieces in front of our eyes. That was actually, I felt like we were watching a car crash in slow motion.
Yeah, that was incredibly odd. Ding very far forward, then Izayaki didn't realize that they were pushing through the other side, and then at that point it's just all too late. All right, okay, reset, okay? We're just going to wipe that one from our memories and just add a 1 on the column next to Chengdu. They take those. They take those in Chengdu.
They do take those. And do you know what happens when Chengdu take those? They end up winning the series more often than not. You can't really give Chengdu these little inches because they'll take a mile.
Get him back on dive, though. This is what I want to see. Jinmu on Genji, Leave on Tracer, Eamon on Wrecking Ball. There could not be a better composition for this team in terms of pure entertainment. I'm not saying this should be the meta, but in terms of pure entertainment, yes, give me this all day long.
I was watching this yesterday, and we can see, the fire comes out from Ding, and he's going to be slotting in the rockets. As you can see, the composition that Chengdu are running, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to realize it's not exactly ideal at dealing with the fire in the sky. Elsa might be able to contest him a little bit, especially with a Discord orb from Molly, but other than that, they don't really have too many answers. So Ding is going to have free reign, and it's down to the ground team to see if they can take care of things, but it looks like DM is cleaning up. 2 kills for him. He takes away a lot of the damage dealers. In fact, all of them from Chengdu. They're going to be sent to the back of the respawn queue, opening up this point for Shanghai.
I was talking to a couple of other analysts about how much I rate DM in the past and said that he might be my favorite hit scan, like potentially best hit scan in the world for me. And they were like, oh, but how good is his Tracer? I was like, dude, if you'd seen him back in Chinese Contenders, this guy slaps on Tracer. He's incredible. DM has now been unlocked in this kind of meta. Yes, Leave is excellent, but DM is world-class on Tracer.
See now, you can see DM, he's just playing with his food, if you will. Jinmu just about got out of there, the power drag comes down, he's looking for an opportunity, blinks in, has to use the recall, now he's going to be starting to contest with Leave here. Nice PO comes out from Alsa, keeping him alive, but look at the tracking. Absolute excellence coming out from DM here, still has the pulse bomb, just going to be holding on to it, and look at how much they're struggling to deal with Ding up in the air as well. Alsa is using his boosters to try and catch up to him, but to no avail.
I think they really should have swapped Jinmu over to Pharah as soon as they saw Ding was playing the Pharah. Who do you dive here? I mean, the only person you can kill is Izayaki, and by that time, you've already taken way too much damage anyway. So I don't this is a good game plan from the Chengdu Hunters. I'm just hoping that Jinmu gets his blade and blades Ding and Li Jiegong in the air.
And I mean, if there's one thing to turn us around, it would be the Jinmu blade. But unfortunately, doesn't quite have it yet. Only 83%. Ding's going to be using a couple of ultimates here. The barrage puts in enough damage to allow DM to clean up a few more members. But my word, I mean, the time is just ticking away here from Chengdu Hunters. It's 75% capture time so far. They're getting so many straggler kills. Elsa now is probably going to get staggered as well as he's being chased down. It doesn't matter how much. Now it's an absolute shambles right now for Chengdu. Shanghai in complete control.
And they don't have an Ana on their team either, so this is not going to be a Nano Blade. Jinmu, though, pulls it out. He's going for the Pharah,
The blade?
Yes!
He's found the Pharah somehow! Excuse me? I'd like to see the replay of that one. He's going for the Mercy next. No one is safe. There's nothing sacred anymore. Trying to go for the dodging, trying to go for the juking here.
Jinmu?
Li Jiegong goes down. Jinmu picks up the Pharah Mercy combo. But unfortunately, it ended up buying a lot of time for them. And Shanghai, they managed to get 99% in the end. Chengdu opened up the point with the Dragon Blade, but now they've got to be asking themselves, okay, well, what do we do now? We've taken the point, and one of our most impactful ultimates is now gone. Are they just going to wait for Jinmu to build up another one?
I don't think they're going to have the opportunity, honestly, because here come Shanghai Dragons, and if they can manage to find an opportunity to get onto Molly or Yveltal and force out this ultimate, they'll have a great opportunity afterwards to dive onto them with DM. Look at that, Ding just hovering over Molly, trying to force out this trance.
Oh, Jinmu, though, somehow jumps into the backline. Void tried to peel for Izayaki, but he takes him out. And losing your main healer now, Shanghai.
There goes the trance, though.
Ooh, the damage boosted rocket. Straight into Jinmu. Transcendence was forced out by Chengdu, Josh, you are correct. It's going to be lacking a bit of heals for them now. The rally now committed here by Yveltal. As they try and use the excess armor to try and win this fight out. Power driver from Fearless. Dunks it down. They're trying to find a pick-off here. Could be anyone's game. Look at Ding. Barraging from across the map. Nice little play from Li Jiegong as well. Li Jiegong tried to body block using his Valkyrie, but it wasn't quite enough to try and put away the damage here.
Yeah,
still
I'm actually
pounding in the damage.
Not a fan of what Shanghai Dragons are doing at all here. What they should have done after they forced the Transcendence out of Molly was disengage, group up with their entire team, and just try and put pressure on the backline once again, and this time get the kill. Instead, what they did was continue to feed in even when the rally was going off, and they've given Jinmu another blade and Molly 60% of his ultimate. They haven't gathered themselves back up for a second offense, they just kept the first one going.
Ultimate's being used now, as you can see. The mines from Mayhem doesn't find any value with it. Jinmu has a blade, but he's 100 HP. The reflect has to be forced out here. Falling very, very low. Now the blade straight into the air. /1, but Ding, he held the core downs. He concussion blasts away and hits the fade away. Jinmu goes down, getting nothing out of the blade. And now it's all up to Leave to try and clutch this one up. Gets healed up. The Transcendence from Molly. He's going to be healing up the rest of the Chengdu Hunters. The bomb from Void is able to remech. It's very important. Ding falls. Leave with the beat down. Izayaki falls as well. The healer's going here. Li Jiegong has to try and get Resurrect off. Manages to find it onto Izayaki. That could be key. That could be crucial. It could be enough to keep Shanghai into this fight. But Leave, he's desperately trying to win out the 1v1, or I should say the 2v1. And Chengdu Hunters, for using that front line, they're able to win the battle onto the point. It doesn't matter how much damage DM was trying to do into the backline there. He's just keeping Leave busy, but it wasn't enough. And the Chengdu Hunters winning that round are going to take map number 1. That was messy, Josh.
That was messy, but it was beautiful. It was both teams playing this wacky style that we know that they both play. It's not just strange compositions, it's the default stuff. It's playing high aggro, high tempo, DPS focused compositions that end up being incredibly long team fights because both teams have a wrecking ball on either team, and I want to put a particular focus on Molly there because Molly's Transcendence got forced out, then Yveltal uses the rally to keep Molly alive throughout the fight, and then Molly builds up 60% to another trance and has the trance for the next team fight. So because Shanghai Dragons failed to disengage properly and attack again, which is a real problem for them, they just squandered that opportunity and allowed Chengdu to build up all of their ultimates that they needed for the next fight. Even though Ding hit that ridiculous rocket onto Jinmu, it didn't matter because they'd already found the Transcendence on Molly, and the back line was unassailable. In the meantime, Leave is just snapping up Izzyaki in the back, stopping that Ana from ever having an impact in the fight. That was nicely played by Chengdu, but Shanghai really messed that up.
Chengdu are a team you never really want to be giving any maps away to because, like I said before, they are going to be ended up taking a mile. But we're going to find out, can the Shanghai Dragons battle back after the break? Map 2 coming up.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Overwatch League here live on YouTube. It is a phenomenal time. It is currently about 1:30 AM in the morning, and we have just witnessed Chengdu Hunters taking away map number 1 against the Shanghai Dragons. An interesting turn of events. These are two teams that we probably wouldn't have expected this kind of scoreline just yet. We got map 2 coming up. We do have substitutions coming up fairly soon. We'll have them coming up soon enough. But Josh, I mean, we've already talked a little bit about this. It is a bit chaotic, but Chengdu Hunters playing to their strengths. What's not to love about that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Chengdu have to play this way, and that's the difference between these two teams. Shanghai Dragons don't have to play that way. They have the flexibility in their lineup to be able to play meta compositions, but they chose in that first map to mirror them in terms of the scrappy, dive-oriented style, and they just made mistakes. They just played poorly. I mean, that first round maybe you could write off because it seemed like Lee Jae-gon was having some technical issues or whatever. But the second round, they just literally made mistakes that caused Chengdu Hunters to be able to get the advantage in the round and take it all the way from 99-0 back to a victory for them. So I think this decision to run Diem and Ding was clearly to try and run a Pharah Tracer on probably a village as well as Shrine. Yeah. But they just weren't coordinated with how they set up the dives and the flow tempo of the game. It's all very well in being very good at each individual hero, but if you don't understand the flow of the game or have somebody who's very good at calling the dives and how everybody should be set up, then you are going to lose to a team like Chengdu, who is they were born and bred in this style. You merely adopted the dive. They were molded by it.
Yeah, and they've had 8 weeks to hone it as well.
Yeah. You think Eamon's been playing? You think Eamon's been playing Winston? No, he hasn't been playing Winston. That did not affect him in the slightest. You think Yveltal's been playing Lucio? No, he's been on Mercy the entire time, pocketing Jinmu.
Jinmu? Who knows what he's been playing? Hearthstone on a second monitor while also playing Overwatch. That's how good he is, you know. That's how good he is. But heading into the game, you're going to see a couple of substitutions that have been made as well, and we can briefly touch over that. So we're actually seeing a more familiar Shanghai squad across the board. Stand 1, Lip and Fleta coming back in. This is what is consistent, what we saw yesterday. And Chengdu Hunters making the same switch they did in their game yesterday. Map 2, Bacon Jack comes in instead of Leave.
Yeah, I just want to point out that Fearless has now lost 77 maps in the Overwatch League and still only won 13. So not a successful recurring performance from Fearless. Don't believe that he was the problem in the slightest there. His performance individually was fine, but they have subbed him out. We'll have to see whether he comes back in later on.
The doors are open. Lip goes for the jump shot. Doesn't find the target. He almost hit it though. And it's going to be the Widowmaker duel here. You can see Bacon Jack and Lip going to be facing off. Lip taking some very aggressive angles. You don't normally want to be doing this if you are a Widowmaker player. You want to be playing some more standard stuff. But sometimes, look at this. Look at Bacon Jack. He's in Narnia. He's even by a little cupboard.
What on earth is this angle? He can see one thing. Count them. He can see one thing on the map.
All right, Josh, but this is brilliant because look at this jump shot. I mean, here's the thing. Rule number 1 in the Widowmaker duel, you always got to come from an unexpected angle. And if that angle is on the other side of the map, then so be it. And you can see Chengdu are setting up the perfect pincer attack. You've got the backline here. Jinmu taking a lot of damage though, and now he's playing the ground fire. I mean, he's looking a bit like me in this scenario. I don't recommend the ground fire play style. Doesn't work at best of times. That's true, you don't get the kind of heals like that, and Jinmu, he's safe and sound. Trying to avoid the shots, though, coming out from Lip here, but look at the damage that's being pumped into them. Lip ends up falling, trades across the board here, and Shanghai also just try and rotate themselves around here. Despite the fact that Chengdu are on the attack, Shanghai wrapping themselves around, caught out of position, Stand 1 has to use his Fortify to stay alive. Damage mitigation keeps him up for the time being, but oh no, Bacon Jack. You, sir, they try to grapple away, but the icicles from Fleta taking him out. Now the freeze is going to be locking up Eamon. Eamon, I don't really know what the heck this movement is. Yeah, I mean, he's just making it work, it seems. But Chengdu now, I think they have to just accept that you got to just kind of come back, reset if you can, because currently Elsa has been walled off, and try and approach this from a different angle. Bacon Jack, he says, I'm going to go straight down the middle and try and take a shot.
Yeah, oh my goodness, he actually picks up his Yaki. While everybody else is trying to deal with Jinmu and Yveltal, who are literally behind them, it opens up angles for Bacon Jack, and he hits it.
I feel like this is the real presence right now. As you can see, Jinmu just goes in and goes for it. The barrage gets unleashed, he gets a kill, instantly rezzed up as he ended up falling as well. And Chengdu Hunters have cracked this open like a runny egg going into a pan for a Sunday breakfast. Beautiful, you get a couple of hash browns, maybe some sausages, make it work, you know?
Wonderful. Jinmu's actually left Yveltal behind as well. Come on, Yveltal, come on Jinmu's wild ride as he goes into the back line. That's the entire style of Chengdu, though. This is exactly what they were doing yesterday, and it was something that Wolf was actually criticizing them for because they took it a bit too far. They like to play with their Pharah Mercy well behind the enemy Orisa, so that people are forced to turn around and look at Jinmu and Yveltal, and in theory that opens up more angles for Bacon Jack, but it requires Bacon Jack to hit his shots, which he did on point day.
Okay, Gravitic Flux, I don't really understand that one. It gets sent straight into the back line. I mean, it connected onto Bacon Jack, but Bacon Jack was so far behind the corner, nobody can follow up onto it, but Fleta with the icicles. I mean, he is the meta. When he deems it, he will bring you down. Takes out Jinmu, he's going to be removing a lot of damage from them, but Izayaki falling means you've lost a lot of damage, and stand one, your front line is crumbling to pieces. Eamon also causing a bit of work with the nano boost on top of him, and Chengdu Hunters continue to just roll this one forward. I gotta say, I'm not too impressed so far from what we're seeing from Shanghai. It feels like they are just being pulled apart into two places at once, and they don't quite know how to deal with this. And Eamon, I mean, look at this! The cojones on him, he's just going for it.
Yeah, I mean, they should not be playing the Widowmaker. Against this kind of style with the Pharah and the Widow, you just can't play Widow into it, because your Widowmaker is always in an exposed location. Either they're going to get shot by Bacon Jack, or they're getting shot by Jinmu. So Lip, I think, needs to go to a hero where they can either focus on the ground war, something like a Reaper or a Hangzhou, or just change up the composition entirely.
Yeah, I mean, look at these angles now, though. Look, Chengdu just taking them from every single location.
But this is much better, because now Jinmu and Yveltal can't get behind. I mean, your back's literally against a wall as Shanghai. They're not going to go inside, and if they do go inside, you can just ignore them, because they're not a threat. So this is the point at which Chengdu's composition starts to fall down a little bit, and they have to choose a slightly different approach. And that approach is to send a hamster into the back. And it didn't work.
Ooh, but Jake and Bacon Jack. I was about to say Jake and back.
Jake and back.
Yeah.
I want my Jake and back, Jake and back, Jake and back.
All right. Well, I'm not even going to talk about that one. But the as you can see from what were you even referring to? I forget it. Actually, the game's going on. The Blizzard's going to come out here from Fleta, and he's going to try and lock a couple of players out onto the point. He connects onto Eamon as well. Eamon right now putting on a masterclass performance in feeding the masses. It'd be useful to know. Bit of a biblical story, a tale as old as time. But look at this, Jinmu! I mean, he's just taken the advice completely the opposite way. Straight into the backline, the barrage comes out. He takes out Lee Jae Gong. Now Bacon Jack has to try and win this 1v1, but he's very, very low. Gets a little bit of heals from Yveltal.
Yeah,
Damage
that's
being
so
pumped
good
in as well.
With the barrage. With the barrage, he really can play in these tight corners, because if he gets in a 1v2 scenario, you can see it just blows them all up. It's not something he could do if he didn't have it available. Ooh, the flux on Molly, that's going to be interesting. I don't think they have the personnel to be able to win this, so I think they've just wasted flux.
But they did get the Supercharger out. That is one of the most impactful ultimates in the game right now, that Supercharger. I think them pressing Chengdu into using it before, maybe the fight would have been won without the Supercharger, maybe it wouldn't have, but not as bad for Shanghai as it might have been.
Yeah, Lip is now making switch over to the Hangzhou, so no longer trying to take that Widowmaker duel. He's going to focus on Shield Shred, can try and really focus on taking out Elsa, even focus on taking out Eamon, scout out where Bacon Jack is. But Jinmu's made the move over to the Genji as well. And now starting to play more default stuff.
He lays down a Supercharger. The team's going to start to try and move forward here. They have a lot of damage to them. Now, Widowmaker duel against the Hangzhou. You wouldn't believe it, but the advantage actually goes to the Hangzhou in a lot of these scenarios here. And he's going to be pressured a little bit now. As you can see, the rest of the team goes onto them and they just collapse onto him. Bacon Jack takes him out. Chengdu Hunters now with the pickoffs. All they need now is the progress on the card to start pushing this one forward.
What on earth is this positioning coming out from Shanghai? I mean, they're all... hello?
What? Bro, seriously, if you had shown me just a little screen cap at that moment right there, you would have thought that Shanghai's on the defense, because they've got people behind them right now. Chengdu, remember, they're the ones attacking. They're pushing into them as it stands. And you can see Eamon just dealing with a lot of players. They get an equal trade, a 1-for-1. Huge Bionade comes out. Fleta forced to use the Ice Block to try and purge it off. Still a winnable game for Shanghai as the respawners start to come in, but Bacon Jack uncontested, taking pot shots from every single angle he can find.
I mean, that is truly ridiculous. They have the odds to be able to take this over as well. The rally, the bombs coming out too. He's finally returned back to the action with his little Brigida shield, but I fear he's not long for this world. Yeah. Unless Lip can really turn things around.
The rally from Lee Jae Gong. Izayaki has the nano. He's unleashed it onto one of his targets. Not too sure who. Void ends up being the recipient of it. He's going to start slamming in the damage. They actually have defended this one now. Nice little play, or have they? Did I speak too soon? Jinmu goes for the blade.
Put that blade away. Put that blade away right now. Why
He-
on earth would you blade when you are 4v6? I mean, sure, there's 30 seconds left, but you had a nano boost and a supercharger remaining. Okay, he's going to swap off to the May. I don't know about that one.
here's the thing though, Jinmu is notorious for, and I say notorious because it is just that, wasting the Dragon Blade. He likes to think he's playing Overwatch in 2016, when you can clutch it out 1v6, because people had no concept of grouping up. But it's a different game these days, Jinmu, and now Chengdu's time is running out. No one can even touch the cart! Are you kidding me? I guess the wall was up, nobody could touch it, but yeah, I mean, this game is just really trying to take the crown away from Toronto-Boston, the first match, I should say, as the battle of the, I mean, what do we call it? I don't want to say bottom feeders, because these teams aren't bottom feeders, but...
No, they're definitely not. It's just very chaotic, and I think this is a natural thing that happens in a lot of online matches as well. It's, I think, slightly easier to lose your focus when you're playing online and you're in the comfort of your own home, your own home, house, or wherever you are.
Yes,
and the game feels a little less present. And I think the games are going to get a bit more scrappy, a bit like this. I'm not complaining, it's entertaining.
Sure.
Seeing Lee Jae-gon and Izayaki just in the back lines and Jinmu throwing out his Dragon Blades all over the place. But definitely some refining to do here from Shanghai. This is a team, remember, that a lot of people had as at least top 4. Yeah. The Shanghai Dragons are supposed to be well up there. Top 4, top 5 at the absolute lowest. So with the amount of personnel that they have on this roster, with the incredible DPS players they have access to, this team should not be happy playing at this kind of level, kind of getting brutalized by Chengdu. And yes, Chengdu didn't full complete, but they really made Shanghai work for it. And we saw yesterday that they completely held Hangzhou.
Well, we'll see now as the gates open up. Shanghai look to be making some adjustments straight off the bat, and they're gonna make some wholesale switches as they move over 3 of their players. Flutter gets obliterated. He was halted in the sky. He couldn't go anywhere. The damage was too much. Taken out. I wonder if he's going to make the switch. He might opt into this Farah duel, the 1v1. Gets resurrected up. Not really sure what the point of that was. He was about to respawn, but hey ho. Gets slept as well. I mean, Flutter's not having a good time. Sleeping on the job. Bionade as well.
Lee Jae-gon, I think, is still trying to get comfortable with both Mercy and Brigitte. He's an incredible Lucio, but you can see in some of the decision-making that he's involved in that this guy will take a little bit of time, I think, to get to that elite level on the other heroes that he's required to play as a main support.
Flatter eats a couple of rockets. A 1v1 with Jinmu is not one that I feel comfortable taking personally, because guy is very mechanically gifted. His decision making, not so much, but when hitting those rockets, when hitting those middies, I mean, the guy is just on point. We'll see if he can pump in any damage here into Fletter. Fletter now just going to be opting to try and focus on the front line. Not really wanting to pay too much attention to Jinmu, but that could be a mistake as he's going to eat a stray rocket here and there. And this is really just a battle to see if they can get somebody's pick off. I mean, the rockets from Jinmu are really quite precise. All he needs to do is connect 2 of them in a row, and that might just be it for the push attempt here. You can see it. Fletter, though, he's no slouch, trying to hit those shots as well.
I think this Farah duel favors the offensive team. To have both Farahs kind of tied up here, that lends itself to the attackers. They can get through choke points a little bit more easily. Lip can find these angles a bit more easily. And Bacon, oh my goodness.
Oh, that's a mistake right there. The timing was off for Chengdu. Could have got a nice little headshot down to Stand 1, but Stand 1 survives. He gets away scot-free. We can start to see now the team moving around.
The Nana Boost was used there actually as well, while we just reconvene with our anime sky battle between Jinmu and Fletter as they both just trade blows. It is like something from Dragon Ball Z where it takes 3 episodes for them to get a kill, but when they do, it's going to be epic.
How many episodes of Dragon Ball Z have you watched, Josh?
Absolutely 0.
Okay.
I mean, I just assume that it's a bit like this. Isn't it like this?
Yeah, actually. I mean, it's a very fitting analogy that you've just come up with, but I'm just shocked because I know that you just don't like anime. So, besides that point, there is still a game going on. It might not feel like it because these teams are really just trying to get stuff done with these rockets, but it feels like just, I don't know, 2 teams at an impasse, not really sure how to progress.
And the real reason there's an impasse is because Lip is continuing to play this Widowmaker and not finding any value out of it. If he had swapped over to another hero, say like the Hangzhou, where he can contribute to the aerial battle perhaps a little bit more and contribute to the shield break, then maybe they would be able to make an impact. Okay, here though, this is good.
Bro, whoa. Elsa using the Gravitic Flux indoors. The collapse from Shanghai. Finally, they get something done, but they have to force him out of position. But now Jinmu is using his own his own barrage, I should say. He finds 2 picks. Void goes down as well. Still a very winnable fight. The Resurrects were both traded out as well. Chengdu still in position here. Rocket's going to be traded out. That looked like a great opening for them, but Lip, that should seal the deal. Taking out Molly, removes a lot of the heals, and now Fleder is going to just sink himself down onto the ground. The nano boost on top of it. A lot of damage being pumped into them right now. Hopefully finds that kill as well. Indeed, Izayaki will steal it away from him. But regardless of that, Shanghai finally crack open his first attack.
Yeah, and that was all down to them eventually bullying the tank line of Eamon and Elsa into a room and getting a synced up dive with Stand 1 and Void. Previous to that, they hadn't been able to get a single thing done. So they need to continue this momentum as well. Bacon Jack needs to be harassed, they need to buy time. Molly's been resurrected as well. They need to apply pressure with Fleta and Lip. There we go.
I mean, Fleta somehow finds Eamon there. Not quite sure
doesn't
how.
die himself, which is huge.
Yeah, and that means that one-man advantage, it's Chengdu. They can't really attack this kind of push now going on by Shanghai too much. Bacon Jack uses his infrared sight, so he has the walls now. He can start to see the enemy team. And if he can get a pick off, that will definitely help them out here. Let's do a fast rotation around. The sleep down onto Eamon. The nano boost completely negated on the ground. And Eamon's not going to get any value. Goes for Lip though. He's going to use his grapple to just pound a bit of damage into him. Lip falling means that Bacon Jack can now start to take more aggressive angles. You can see him. Stamon realizes this. He tries to take him out with the ground slam, but I mean, it is a beautiful thing to watch. The movement just really just working around him.
And also, just the difference in impact between these two wrecking balls. You've got Chad Eamon versus the newcomer Stand 1. I'll use that one instead.
Newcomer.
Yeah. And Eamon's just getting so much more work done. Stand 1 is attempting to put pressure on the backlines, but he really has struggled. I mean, there's only been one successful breaking of a hold here for Shanghai.
Yep. And it's rough out here. You're relying on at least a pick from the Widowmakers. Stand 1 in the backline though. He had to commit the mines for that, and Lip was able to take a more aggressive angle as a result. He takes out Jinmu as well, so it's going to be 2 picks here for Shanghai. Shanghai are able to now, they should at least be able to push this one forward a little bit more. Even though I'm not quite sure what you're trying to do here.
He had the dregs of his Valkyrie, so I think he was trying to get a pick.
Is he surviving this?
Has he been able to sync up with somebody else?
I think he has, yeah. He's back up, and now Eamon, it's his time to go. Eamon with the nano boost. Again, another very scary thing. This guy is so mechanically skilled. It's almost like having a 3rd DPS player. His aim, his movement, his mechanics.
And the way that Jinmu follows up on everybody that Eamon pushes into poor positions, you'll see a lot of the time Eamon boops somebody into a corner or pile drives them and they get knocked up in the air. Jinmu is immediately there to follow up on that damage. That's a pre-existing synergy that's working so well for Chengdu. And that's why you don't really want to play into the Jinmu on Pharah and Eamon on ball compositions. You want to get away from those as much as possible.
Oh, wow. And Lip tried to go for the jump shot, but Eamon, he just busted him away. And there we have it. The barrage is traded out. But look at that, Fleder, he had the high ground over Jinmu. Takes him out with the 2K, but Bacon Jack wants to trade it up, and nobody touches the point! Josh Wilkinson, that's your name. Not going to wear it out, but Chengdu Hunters just took map 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's so weird to watch Shanghai play at the moment when they're opting into this duel, because Fleder is a decent quality Pharah and he's able to put some pressure on Jinmu, but you're deliberately opting into the Wrecking Ball versus Wrecking Ball and the Pharah versus Pharah against Chengdu when they're just playing their comfort heroes. They know exactly how to play around that. It doesn't make sense. Lip also just didn't find any opportunities on the Widowmaker particularly. I think honestly, in the Owl level, unless you are a genuinely bananas level Widowmaker and your team has practiced a lot at being able to set up and capitalize on the threat of you as well as the picks that you actually create, you shouldn't be playing it. Just get on the hands. It's more consistent and it leads to better results. So I think Shanghai are completely lost at the moment. I think that strategically they come into this game trying to mirror Chengdu Hunters and just play the heroes better than them, and they are failing.
It's interesting, it really is, especially the Widowmaker comment you've made there as well, because Bacon Jack, not really an individual that we would think of to be one of the best Widowmakers in the world. But when we come back from the break, we're going to have a little game break. We've got something very special to break down for you, but do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's first and only nationwide 5G network. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a neighbor, State Farm is there.
Welcome back, everybody, to the game break presented by Crunch Time. Cheesy Grooves. That's the one. That's the badger. Almost forgot about it. I was trying to think of a classy little tune for them, you know, give them a bit of bang for the buck with the advertisement.
Sure. A jingle. That
is
your
jingle
job
that they could
all,
use.
The jingle writer for the Overwatch League.
Yep. You know, I've done a little bit of voiceover work, Josh. Sometimes it pays off. That was a bit of a miss. Won't deny. But yeah, we've got the game break here where we can see the match at hand. Josh, you have carefully taken a little section of that match, and you want to just take us through something a little bit special. Now, I won't be able to see it, but I trust that everything you're saying will be correct.
Okay, well, yeah. Utilizing the incredible technology that we have access to here in quarantine, I'd like to take you through Crunch Time, presented by Cheez It Grooves.
Wow.
And this is what we're going to go through here. It is a clip from previously on this map, on Dorado, and I want to point your attention to a couple of things, right? So this is kind of a breakdown how the Chengdu Hunters were playing this composition so much better. So Eamon is in position where he can take this nano boost, right? And basically what he's going to do is he's going to trundle along here, and he's going to attack the back line of the Shanghai Dragons. And the important thing to note is, even though he gets slept, Chengdu take all of the space. So as we play this clip out, you guys can just see how efficient they are at being able to capitalize on what he was doing. So they realize that stand one is in the back, the infra site is used, and also the nano boost. So I just want to pause it. Oh my goodness. Whoa. Oh my good. Whoa. Hello. Technology bugging out. Don't worry about that, guys. Ignore the man behind the camera. So here you see how much space they've taken. So Eamon is slept down here. This is sleepy little Eamon. He's nano boosted up, and he's asleep down in the back.
Sleep little boy.
Yeah, and they're putting pressure on Bacon Jack. Fleder and Liege Gon had to drop all the way back as well, and the whole of Chengdu Hunters have just pushed up and occupied all of this space, and they're all putting pressure on the same person, and that is Lip. So they're going to be firing rockets at him. Bacon Jack has taken up a position over here where he has infra sight, and he's going to be shooting him as well, and all three of these people put pressure on him at the exact same time. So even though Eamon has slept here, look at Lip's health up at the top right hand corner. Look at Lip's health. It goes down because of a shot from Bacon Jack, who's holding up here, and then Eamon just comes out of his the sleep form, goes into Lip, takes him out very quickly as well, and syncs up with Jinmu. just in every single time that he's able to get these shots done. So he's just basically able to put so much more pressure than Shanghai Dragons. So there's your crunch time presented by Cheez It Grooves.
Wow. That is absolutely astounding. Thank you, Joshua Wilkinson. Now, I couldn't see it, but the way you narrated that was sublime. I understood all of it. My knowledge has gone up. I'm pretty sure my SR just went up. Well, I mean, I'll check my PC when I'm back, but I'm probably at least in diamond now.
Plus 50 SR. But basically, the biggest difference, right, between how Chengdu and Shanghai were playing is that when Stand 1 is messing around in the backline, no one pays attention to him because they aren't giving him any respect. And also, nobody on the Shanghai Dragons actually pushes up and takes space at the same time. Chengdu just know how to play around Eamon on Wrecking Ball because that's all he plays. Like, you are forced to play around him on Wrecking Ball.
You know, strangely hungry as well for some Cheez It Grooves at this moment of time, and I'm pinning it all down to your beautiful breakdown. But we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we've got map 3. Let's see if Chengdu can take it.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch. The Overwatch League is brought to you by HyperX. Unleash your style, unleash your fury. With HyperX Fury Memory.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, wasn't that a great breakdown by our halftime analysts?
Wow, they really know what they're talking about, Brian.
Round of applause to those guys, honestly. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. They should probably get a raise. I'm going to be real with you.
Yeah,
that one's for you, Blizzard. Yeah, you're listening, I'm sure you are. Anyway, we're here in the first series of the night, and it's the Chengdu Hunters versus Shanghai. If you're just joining us, it's been an absolute doozy thus far, but we've got map 3 coming up now. Chengdu Hunters currently leading 2-0. In terms of substitutions, I believe only one has been made, and it's going to be Bacon Jack out, Leave back in. Shanghai going to be sticking with the same players they had in the previous map, so only the one substitution being made. But I think you really broke it down in the halftime, Josh. At least I think that might have been you. But the fact that Chengdu Hunters, they know how to play this style, and they know how to play around Eamon as a player. Whereas when Shanghai Dragons attempt to try and mirror them in a similar style, they probably think in their heads, okay, we'll just beat them. We're better than them mechanically, we're better than them when it comes to our team play. But the reality is, you're just not when it comes to playing this particular style of Overwatch. Chengdu, as you said, they were molded in the Chinese style of Overwatch, where they just love the chaos and they can take advantage of it. Now we'll see, can Shanghai Dragons achieve what they're looking for right now? Can they get the reverse sweep? It happens here, it starts here on Iconvault.
Chengdu Hunters got reverse swept yesterday. They know it's possible. You just have to drag them out of their comfort zone. And Iconvault's actually a good place to begin. Shanghai got win on Eichenwald when they played yesterday, and they played the majority of this double shield composition. The Mei, the McCree, Lee Jae-gon on the Batiste way. He looks okay, he's alright, but generally you want to get away from this wrecking ball look and just play the Mei. Just get Fleder on the Mei, because it puts a lot more pressure on Eamon. He can't play around the rest of the team in the same way because he'll get frozen up. So it pushes him to the periphery. He can't attack Lip particularly either. There's only really Izzyaki that he can go on. You can keep him very well defended. So I like this. I think this is the best composition, maybe hands down, but also the best composition to play against Chengdu.
Okay, TP is going to be used just to scout it out. They're going to make some switches as well. It looks like Chengdu Hunters want to try and match them in the double shield. The difference is going to be the McCree. Leavens, they're going to be playing the Hangzhou.
Oh
my word. I mean, you just can't do that.
No.
You just can't eat rockets from across the map. That is egregious.
Well, Lee Jae-gon was, I don't know, playing chess on a second monitor or something. That's what I like to do when I die to rockets like that. Shanghai actually have gone hyper aggro in an attempt to win this 5v6 and buy enough time for him to come off the respawn. It's a bold move, and I think, it was potentially about to work. It was looking okay for them. It was really the only option that they had, because in a longer fight, you are going to miss out on Lee Jae-gon's healing. But, yep, I mean, that's not a good look for the rookie main support coming into this team.
Not a good look at all, and it's not like you're running a Mercy. You can't be resurrected up. That pickoff just completely cracked this one open for Chengdu, and you can see Jinmu just taking the off angles. He's already almost built the barrage. They're going to attempt it, but they're just not fast enough. Again, no Lucio in the game to try and speed boost you in. You need to be a little bit more cleaner with your engagements just to even stand a chance of that. So it's going to be Chengdu Hunters with a rapid takeover of this point A. See the spam coming into Jinmu, but he's far too clever at that. He's using the geometry of the map to avoid a lot of these shots.
Simple geometry.
Yeah, simple geometry apparently. Now Lip's on the high ground, and he has the Deadeye ready and waiting. It's one of the deterrents to Jinmu getting a little bit too up in the air. You can see here, they've actually unleashed the amplification matrix, the window, as we like to call it sometimes, but it's a bit of a weird one for Chengdu because they can't really quite get the angles necessary, but at the end of the day, you need the angles to capitalize off of it when Jinmu gets value with his damage boosted rockets. The barrage comes out from Jinmu, but he gets taken down as a result by Lee Jae-gong this time, him getting the better of it.
Oh my goodness.
Yveltal is mental, just actually going for Lee Jae-gong in the air with the Valkyrie. It's one of my nightmares, my pet peeves, when I'm playing Widowmaker in Overwatch, Josh, and the Mercy gets a little bit brave with the Valkyrie, and they just run you down with the pistol because she has the tiniest hitbox in the game. I swear down. She has one of the smallest hitbox, and she's AD in the air, and you can't hit her, and they think they're gods afterwards. And yeah, Neptuno, I'm talking to you. I don't know if you listen to this, pal, but you're the one who does this. You're just abusing game mechanics, and it's dishonest.
Okay, Gravitic Flux, a bunch of people dragged in the air for the Chengdu Hunters, forces out the Immortality field, but that's a zoning dragon that manages to get a lot of damage into Void actually, and this payload is just keeping on moving.
Yeah,
it's just still moving. It's still moving.
Supercharger from Mayhem, it lasted a while and it's only just expired. These kind of pulls as well. Eamon, bit of a mistake on his part. The Fortify cooldown must have been down, so he couldn't have negated it with that. But now you're going to start to see these ultimates getting used by both sides. They're trying to counteract this one. The Blizzard went out here from Shanghai. Fleder tried to get a pick or two, a bit of value. And he's going to freeze down Elsa, but Elsa hiding his head hitbox, and he's got the team there to heal him up as well. You can see Molly in the background, just pumping in the heals. He's still alive. And Elsa might be able to get some value out of this, but this is a weird scenario.
What's the exit plan here, though, Brent? What's the exit plan? Why are they keeping themselves alive? Do they think the cavalry's coming?
I'm going to be real with you, Josh.
There's only 4 other players on the team. They're miles away.
The positioning baited me into thinking that the sides were switched. I'm going to be real with you. I thought that they had backup coming, but they didn't. I mean, the positioning this entire game, this entire series has been so wacky. Teams are rotating around, taking control of different areas of the map where you wouldn't really expect it on a normal scenario. But the important fact here is that Shanghai have managed to hold on for now, and they have retaken the high ground, and Chengdu has finally now been pushed off of this cart. We'll go for a fast re-engage around this corner. The Immortality field, I should say, was used early here, and a spam from Izzyaki and Lee Jae-gon. That is beautiful. That was the, I believe a Holt set that one up for them. Chengdu going to have to just rethink this one, go back to the drawing board.
Yes, that was a very nicely repelled push. Great timing on the Ant Matrix from DJ Gon, and everybody positioned on the high ground. Now Lip is just scouting out. He can see Spawn from where he is as the Hangzhou just jumping up, trying to get some arrows in, see if he can get a cheeky pick. Sonic arrow, just to scout the positioning. And the ults are still available here, so the ult build has been slightly faster, and the trance still available for Shanghai Dragons, but it all comes down to how they rotate. This is what's going to win it, is the neutral game and their rotations, not really the ults. Because look, Stand 1 looks almost lost. Blizzard in the low ground.
Blizzard on the low ground. The wall is going to split him up, but Elsa gets frozen up. Fleder.
And now Fleder's in no man's land.
Yeah, he's caught in a dodgy position, and we see the Gravitic Flux being used here. Fleder avoided it with his ice block. They do manage to get a kill into Eamon as well. And Shanghai, they have the peel necessary. Fleder was caught out of position. He comes down.
Oh, but that may wall.
Izayaki. I mean, Izayaki ended up having, he was forced to use a Transcendence here. I think this is still a one fight for Shanghai, obviously, with the picks that have come in, but they had to use more ultimates than they were probably willing to.
Yeah, again, the rotations are super strange from both of these teams. They're up, they're down the stairs. The May walls walling people off. Void actually, I think, dropped from the top over round to the bottom in order to push from the normal main opening and to save his team. Super strange stuff. Another Ant Matrix is going to be online here for Lee Jae Gon. It's very easy for the Shanghai Dragons to kite Ant Matrixes when they have the high ground. Not easy for Chengdu to kite them when they're on the low ground.
Eamon absolutely obliterated down to single digits of health. That Discord Orb, he must have taken a flurry of blows because he had to back off almost immediately. And Shanghai, you can see how comfortable they are here. They're rotating around the corner trying to see if they can get anything done on the low ground, but only 20 seconds roughly remaining. Chengdu's taking a split approach. You can see one side going the other. Now they're going to be going for a little bit of a flank attempt here. The wall, Jinmu has to use the ice block defensively. The Dragon as well. Did he get anything out of this? Jinmu falling down so low, but it's Izayaki who gets the better of him. 1-for-1 trade though. Eamon takes out Lee Jae Gon. That's a bit of heals gone for them, but now the Superchargers are out to play from both of these sides. Looking for opportunities. Nice boot, but Stan 1's able to just glide his way down onto the barrier here. Chengdu still have an opening. They can really win this one now if they play clean, if they play concise. The Supercharger still allowing them to do that with the added damage boost. They're going to push this cart forward.
Lee Jae Gon's playing Ultimate Frisbee with his Immortality Field, just yeets it to the other side of the map where absolutely nobody was, but that's a huge flux.
That might be it. The Dragon as well. It's going to split them straight down the middle. The Blizzard on the point. Stand 1 in a bit of trouble. The Discord Orb on him. They need to try and get some damage. I believe the Gravitic Flux was used by Elsa there just so he could save himself. He was pushed off the edge of the map. Ended up using it, not getting any value of it, but it does stay in the fight, but now taken out. Shanghai have done it. They hold Chengdu at the bridge. A very rough position to be in if you are the Chengdu Hunters, but this is signs of life that we wanted to see from the Shanghai Dragons.
Signs of life, absolutely, but still really weird, scrappy play coming out from Shanghai. It's all very interesting to play against Chengdu because I feel that the most concise way to put it is Chengdu asks you a lot of questions. They do things that you're not supposed to do, but they're testing to see whether you're prepared. And they're asking, okay, if we push left side, but half of us push right side, do you know what the correct counter to that is? And if you don't, if you defend incorrectly, Chengdu are likely to win. So there were many times there when Chengdu did unconventional stuff, and Shanghai barely adapted properly. If you can't defend in the correct manner, then even proposing questions like that, can you counter this attack, is going to lead to a total crumbling of a team.
Notice the compositions here. So when we saw it last time, it was something quite similar that Chengdu are running now, Shanghai were running, but they didn't have the Mercy with them, and they were running a McCree instead. So Chengdu actually playing to their strengths more here with Jinmu on the Pharah. I really like Pharah on his first point of Eichenwald. I think you can use that central pillar for a lot of cover. You can get in a lot of damage. This plays to Chengdu's strengths. Shanghai, they may try and make some switches once they see. However, not just yet, because we're going to be seeing a pause, which means that I need to get back into my position on camera. Believe I'm ready.
You never left
at any moment. You're right. I never left. I just kind of skirt around, but I got my monitor over here and the camera's here, so I can't quite see too much. But anyway, a pause nonetheless. And you are right, Josh. It's an interesting scenario here for Shanghai Dragons because that was good for them, but I think the only reason it was good for them was because especially Eichenwald's second point where they were trying to break into, doesn't really play into the comps that they like to play too often.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It's a lot of playing the double shield and the
Yes.
Hangzhou and the May. It really is. It lends itself to those kind of compositions. You have so much high ground anyway with the tower that the Pharah becomes less useful because it's more easily countered by hitscan because you're just closer to them. But here we see on the offense, they're going to be still sticking with this May Hangzhou. So they're going to be relying on Stand 1's halts a lot to be able to deal with Jinmu. Otherwise, he's going to get ridiculous damage over their backline.
Yeah, Jinmu already with the pick onto Izayaki. It's almost like you spoke it into existence there, Josh. And they're relying on Lip, as we've mentioned, to just try and pump in the damage.
He's made the change over to the McCree, but still, it's still going to be hard for Lip to effectively put pressure on Jinmu because Jinmu's so good at being able to dodge around the architecture of the map. So they're still relying on big halts from Stand 1. That's what I want him to be using his halt.
But here's the thing, you keep one eye on the sky, and guess who's winning the ground war? It's Lee. Quick little headshot into Izayaki. Izayaki being the first pick so far in both of these team fights. Jinmu just looking for that pick there onto Fleder as well. Forced them to use the ice block. Now Shanghai have a vantage point to work from. They managed to wiggle their way onto the point. Let's see if they can get... Oh my... I want to say that's disrespectful, but actually I just think it's a good play. The barrage, the long range, damage boosted up, comboed it up with the halt, and this is going to be, again, another dead push in the water here, Shanghai. They'll come back a little bit now and see how they want to try and approach this one. It's very difficult for Lip as well, because he's got a lot on his plate to try and deal with Jinmu on the Pharah. As you mentioned, Josh, Jinmu knows how to play these angles, but Lip doesn't even have the backup of a Diva player to try and put some pressure into him.
Yeah, and that's where I think that's one of the reasons that the previous Diva, where they had the 3-second boosters, was so effective at shutting down the Pharah. You can play around the rooftops, you can get right up in her face. I mean, I would even be considering trying to play the Pharah here, play the Diva here just to put pressure on Jinmu. Yeah, but it seems like they're sticking with the double shield.
Shanghai struggling to really just get anywhere so far. Shield by Stand 1, the halt comes out. Just try and clump Chengdu together. A lot of damage being pumped into them right now. But look at this, Eamon falling very, very low. Luckily his team's there to heal him, and the nano boost is available. Molly's just waiting for it. Doesn't want to use it. Eamon actually ends up going down here, so Molly holding on to the nano boost. They might have to expend something here, but looks like Chengdu are in a pretty safe position. And yep, Evital's just doing Evital things. I mean, this is disgusting. He's got 2 kills. He's looking for a third. I mean, maybe he's been chatting to maybe he's been chatting to Neptuno. You know, Neptuno was based in Guangzhou. Quite some time. I think they're in Korea right now, but taking a couple of pointers maybe.
Yeah, very, very possibly. It seems unassailable what Chengdu are running because the counter composition is just not there. They have a comp that's focused on shield shred. It's the May, it's the Hangzhou, it's the Zen of Batiste for a huge amount of shield shred, but they just can't get in quick enough before Dragon kills them.
Into the halt, the immortality goes down, splits them up. Oh my word! And now we're going to see a couple of ultimates coming out here. Eamon unleashes the supercharger, damage boosted with Jinmu in the background. The barrage does so much damage. It's going to be the team wipe. 45 seconds remaining now for Shanghai.
45 seconds and really not effective ultimates available for Shanghai in terms of being able to catch people. That Blizzard was maybe their best shot. They do have a Gravitic Flux, so what you might see is some kind of halt into a Gravitic Flux coming out from Stand 1, maybe the Amp Matrix or the Supercharger being used to try and burst down Jinmu, but it's still just looking great.
All they need is a pick-off, but they're struggling to even find that as of yet. Look at Chengdu, the sidelines that they're playing, it's very smart, and that is a panic amplification matrix. It was a last-ditch effort, it was a bit of desperation. They need to touch the point. Look at Void, he has to even just kind of get close to it to see if they can get any value. Eamon falls though, so Shanghai have actually managed to wrap themselves around here. Now Jinmu, the recipient of this nano boost, needs to start hitting a shot or two. He can't find it, but finally the flick of the wrist, he gets one. Shanghai though, they've opened this one up and now they have positioning onto the point. Now they're ticking it up. Someone having to force to contest this one now. Could be anyone's game. Jinmu just looking for a kill. You can see him just raining down the rockets from above, but meanwhile Chengdu perfectly happy to take the ground war, and they will force him off the point. Jinmu slams the nail into the coffin. Just a few more players remaining here for Shanghai, and that is going to be the series. Chengdu Hunters winning it 3-0 against Shanghai Dragons. A sentence I didn't think I'd be uttering, but at the same time, I'm not surprised.
I mean, yeah. Well, why are you not surprised, Brent?
Because Chengdu have a tendency to do this.
They really do.
They drag teams down to their level. It's a bit... I don't want to use that kind of wording of dragging a team down to your level, because it feels like Chengdu, they have a very specific play style that I thought that would honestly wane over time. The more teams would actually play with them, you know, it's a little bit niche, it's a little bit nuanced at the start of the season, back last year. But now you should know what the strengths of Chengdu are. You should know how they like to play, and yet they're still getting away with murder is what it feels like.
Yeah, definitely. I think that there was clearly a lack of strategic preparation for dealing with Jingwu's Farah, and you have to expect that kind of composition to come out. And what was the plan there for Shanghai on the offense? I mean, they were running the Mayhem and not being effectively able to deal with it whatsoever. They didn't try to counter Farah, though they did try that on Dorado, and that failed because they weren't able to put enough pressure on Jinmu and deal with Eamon on the Wrecking Ball. So just all in all, they failed from a compositional strategic level at being able to even have a foothold in this match. This was not a close game. This was a 3-0 stomping. The first map was incredibly one-sided, really, when you weigh it up. The second map was pretty dominant, honestly, on Dorado, and then a full hold on Eichenwald. This is Chengdu absolutely showing that they're a team that shouldn't be messed with if you allow them to play what they're comfortable with.
Yeah, and I gotta say, as a Shanghai fan, a little bit disappointed with the performance today. I think the fans had high expectations for this team coming in. Everyone rated them quite highly. I'm willing to give them a bit of breathing room because they looked good yesterday. Maybe it was just a Chengdu effect where they're thrown off tilt a little bit. You know, tried to match their compositions, never really a wise move. But if you were to name a player of the match in this scenario, who would you really give it to? Because part of me wants to give it to Eamon.
Yeah, I feel like that would be a reasonable pick because he was able to get so much done on his Wrecking Ball on maps 1 and 2. I think, though, really when you look at the series, Jinmu was able to get a huge amount done.
Sure.
He had that great blade at the beginning of round 2 on Nepal, where he took down the Far Mercy, and then he was playing the Far himself and just utterly dominant.
I'll do you one better. What about Evital? Because you know, behind every great Farah player, there's a great Mercy player.
Dirty healer.
Yeah, and Evital was fantastic on the Mercy that entire series. I felt like the tech was there, the body blocks, the aggressive plays with the Valkyrie. But
I mean, you are losing your mind if you're giving player of the match in that to Evital. I'm glad that you don't push the buttons officially.
I mean, listen, if I had graphics, I would have been ordering them made. I would be showing them right now. But besides the point, we have another match to be casting. I don't want to keep you guys up too late, as much as you do want to see some more Overwatch. So without further ado, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to have the next match coming up, which is going to be the Hangzhou Spark versus the Guangzhou Charge. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by ZipChair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League.
Well, welcome back, everybody. See, that wasn't too bad, you know. It wasn't too long of a wait. We got another bit of Overwatch coming up. You know, just waiting for the teams to get into the lobby. But if you're just joining us, welcome back to the Overwatch League. This is what I believe to be day 2. The hours blend into each other, you know, with the lockdown and everything else. But my name's Brent. I'm joined by Sideshow, and we're here to watch some more Overwatch. We just watched. I'm not going to spoil it actually, in case somebody wants to watch the VOD back. But it was a good match between Chengdu and Shanghai. You should go back and watch it if you are watching this in the future. I'm confusing my own brain now by talking about
Don't tell them about the reverse sweep though, Brent. Don't tell them about the reverse sweep.
Okay, I won't tell them about the reverse sweep. But we've got another match coming up. This one's for all you live viewers at home. You're all watching. You probably, you know, it's probably breakfast time or something. I'm not too sure, you know. Tweet at me. What are you having for breakfast? I'm interested, truly. But the match that's coming up is going to be Guangzhou Charge versus the Hangzhou Spark, I should say. Bit of a tongue twister if you're not familiar with the Mandarin language, but it's going to be.
You're fluent.
Oh, I'm fluent, Josh. Yeah, ni hao. That's about it, I think.
That's all you need. That's all you need. I like to call this one the Battle of the Joes, the Battle of the Average Joes.
You think these teams are average?
I think that both of these teams will be top 10 teams. I think that both of these teams should be aiming for top kind of playoff areas, like top 6. I think would be good for both of these teams in the long run.
Yep.
I think that Spark, what we've seen from them throughout 2019 was that they were a team that was slow to adapt to metas. So I'm concerned for them a little bit when it comes to hero pools. To be able to really hit that top gear seems to take them multiple weeks. Thankfully, they've had multiple weeks in order to learn this meta. So, yeah, this is a bit of an unusual one. But Guangzhou I've been really high on. I mean, all in the preseason I was talking this team up. And then when it actually came to ranking the teams in the preseason, I ended up putting them somewhere like 8th rather than the original 4th that I thought.
So gas them up and then bring them down.
Yeah, basically. But I do think that this is a very, very powerful roster if they unlock the right pieces. And particularly, I'm looking for Nero. I think this could be a real breakout year for him becoming a truly elite talent.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that one. Well, let's take a look at the starting rosters for the Hangzhou Spark here as I try and bring it up here. Oh, there it is. Beautiful stuff. I'm actually just don't have a second monitor. You got to work with someone here. You got to work with me. But I actually criticized the Hangzhou Spark team, the organization, so to speak, because they didn't make that many adjustments. Now, on the other side of the coin, there's certain people like Wolf who think that that's actually a good thing because you're building on what was good. This was a playoff-worthy team. But I do think that you need to make some adjustments to the team other than just adding, who did they add? Coldest and Mika. The support duo.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting one because those are two Mandarin-speaking players, two Chinese players, which don't really gel with the current mix of these players. So can't really see a scenario where they would see playtime, but they are sticking with pretty much what they know, and that's the previous roster from from last year.
I do think that they'll, to take a slight tangent, I do think that they'll try and introduce Coldest at some point because mechanically he seems to be a bit of an upgrade over Bebe, and if they can work kind of the language barrier like they did with Gushue, I could see that happening. But you take a look at the roster that they're actually fielding tonight. They're not starting with Adora, which is something that they did yesterday, and that didn't work particularly well for them. I'm not a big fan of Adora's like a mechanical ability on a lot of these heroes. He plays like the Genji, the Pharah, this kind of stuff, but yeah, I feel like I'd rather give the opportunities to Bazi. And then they're running Sashin on off-tank, which is what they did for the final map. So Hangzhou Spark yesterday managed to complete the reverse sweep against Chengdu, and it was Sashin coming in on the final map on off-tank, which was it was a difference in the roster. I'm not going to say that was the difference maker, but it's particularly interesting because Sashin is a DPS player at heart. That's what he's known for, but he's played a lot of off-tank before in the past. He played a little bit of the Flex Diva stuff while he was playing in Korean Contenders, and then in the Overwatch League, almost all of his playtime has actually been on off-tank, with slight kind of transitions over to play DPS back before we had 222. So this is a player that's very capable on the Hog and knows how to play the Diva, and for some reason they are starting to run him over Rhea. So maybe it indicates that they're starting to move away from purely Diva and believe that he is better at the Roadhog, at the Sigma, this kind of stuff. Just a more versatile.
It's interesting, isn't it? It really is interesting because Rhea's not a player that we think of as a slouch. He was one of the shining spots of this team last year, I would argue, alongside Gushue as the tank line. But on the other side of the coin, we've got, of course, 2 teams to play a match. You need 2 teams at the end of the day. Sometimes you can have 3. I don't really know what games you'd be watching if there were 3, but in this case we've just got 2, and it's the Guangzhou Charge roster. And we're both very high up on this roster in terms of the mechanical individual prowess of each member. You've got you know, Nero and Happy as a DPS duo. I mean, you can't really argue with these 2 guys. They do mean business every time they're put into the server.
Yeah, and particularly when we have a sniper meta like we have at the moment, where Happy can play the Widowmaker and also the Hangzhou. Now, what I really want to see from him, and what I agree with Wolf when he was casting the Guangzhou Charge yesterday, is that Happy can't just force the Widowmaker. He is potentially one of the best Widowmakers that we have in the league. We have yet to see him go head-to-head with a lot of different people, but Happy's been putting up ridiculous numbers last year, and all throughout his career. But he can't just force the Widowmaker. We've already seen that in our previous match, that it just doesn't work all the time. So I want to see a bit more of a kind of proactive measure from Happy to move over to the Hangzhou, for example, when it just isn't working for him on the Widow. Krong is the person that I really want to highlight, though, because this guy was fantastic on off-tank when he was playing in Korean Contenders, and now coming in, playing the Sigma most of the time for this team, he's continued to be a very, very capable player. So even though the Guangzhou Charge lost Hopper to the NYXL, they have not downgraded, in my opinion, in 2020. This Rio Krong tank line should be very stable across every single hero in the game.
Yeah, we brushed over the support line as well, of course, which is going to be Shu, Neptuno. 2 very, very well established players. Shu, potentially one of the best flex support players that we've got in the league, and Neptuno for his aggressive play style. We are ready to head into the match very soon, and it is bound to be a good one. The map pool that we are going to be seeing, the map set, I should say. Take it away, Josh, as I can't see it at the moment.
Yeah, we got Oasis, Dorado, Eichenwald, Hanamura, and Nepal. So different maps previous to what we've seen previously, apart from Dorado and Eichenwald. But as we've seen, it's a lot about this double shield kind of lineup with the Orisa and the Sigma, and Pharah, wherever you can play it, is still going to be pretty powerful, especially on Oasis. So it'd be interesting to see if Nero decides to bring that out, because he's got a very, very good Pharah on him.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can make the adjustments necessary. Yesterday, as you said, Wolf criticized Happy, in my opinion, rightly so as well, for him sticking with the Widowmaker in a lot of scenarios, but it wasn't quite as ideal. And I feel like this is actually something that needs to be kind of almost forged out of Guangzhou Charge. You know, you got to put them back in the furnace, heat them up a little bit, stick them on the anvil, and beat it out of them. You know, because they tend to
in a metaphorical sense.
In a metaphorical sense, of course, yes.
Sure. We're not advocating burning.
No. I'm saying that they are, the Guangzhou Charge are like, you know, you got to take the cold steel ingot that they are, and you got to reheat it up and kind of just, you know, get the you know, just kind of mold it into whatever you want.
I feel like all of your smelting knowledge comes from RuneScape.
You would be correct about that one, Josh. I also like watching a lot of the blacksmithing videos on YouTube. It's good to get into a little rabbit hole with that one.
The quarantine has been rough on you, hasn't it?
I did this before quarantine. You know, I'm a bit of an insane individual. The quarantine definitely doesn't help. I'm slowly losing it. But we're about to head into the match at hand anyway. We've got the Hangzhou Spark versus the the Guangzhou Charge. There you go. And teams going to be rolling out here.
For the love of God.
I really should, shouldn't I? I really should.
Charge and the Spark.
Charge and the Spark. And they're having at it. And we're going to see a difference here. Double shield being run by both teams, but it's going to be the Charge using the Reinhardt instead of the Sigma. Interesting moves. The wall is going to come up. It's going to be pushing them apart. Nice halt into the middle pit. It's going to bring Krong out of the fight, and that's almost as good as a kill in a lot of scenarios, because he's got to waddle his way up the stairs. Doesn't happen though. He gets sent to the back of the respawn queue. The point is going to be unlocked though. Guangzhou Charge ends up capping it early. The question is, can they hold on to it for much longer? Feels like the Spark have a bit of a stronger foothold on this one.
Yeah, that's an absolute gift there. The Hangzhou Spark have just given them free capture point, because as soon as Krong got sucked into that pit, they should have had the advantage.
Well, Godspeed's going to try and clutch this one up, but, I mean, the Guangzhou Charge, here's the thing, you can never count them out. They've got the mechanical... Brings that Rio as well with the help of Assassin, but still, they're on this point, holding on. Was perfect. Obliterated. Krong took him out almost as instantly as he was able to set foot on the point, and finally they flip it over. You start to see a couple of hero swaps coming out from the Charge.
That is a free 35% because the Spark just didn't get onto the point properly. And that's unfortunate for them. They got a perfect halt onto Krong and sucked in onto the low ground, but weren't able to capitalize properly. And now the Charge are going to be able to re-engage. They've actually swapped Krong over to the Sigma, so running a bit more of a default double shield, but they don't have the Zen to be able to shield break. So Shu on the Ana here, I don't think that's optimal, but Nero hitting shots like that is perfect.
Yep, these opening picks, I think you might get to see this a lot, honestly, with this Charge roster. And it's those kind of plays that really open things up. The Amplification Matrix by Charge gets walled off instantly. Now we see the Supercharge coming out. Nero is going to prioritize that. He realizes that is the target they need to get rid of. Gravitic Flux straight up into the air, sends them straight back down again. The Charge, they have enough picks here, which should be necessary, but Gushue, drive-by in the corridors, is going to end up taking out Nero, beats him down as well. The Discord Orb assisted with that one. And Hangzhou Spark are in a very good position to just keep holding on to this. I thought I was going to go the way of Charge, but I mean, it just didn't.
I think the Ana is really getting very minimal value here. And now Shu switches over to the Zen, which I think is just the downright better composition. You've got better shield break, the Discord Orb helps you melt people better. The problem is even the Biotic Grenade, which normally would be such a great win condition, it just gets removed because you put down the Immortality Field from IDK and everybody outlasts it.
Yep. Bazzi with the pick on the Happy there is a beautiful thing if you are a Spark fan. Nice little fade away Icicle as well. Now the Charge,
so
they've still got the high ground, but look at this, they got to commit because the time is running low. The Dragon Strike is going to split them up. The freeze onto Assassin, but the Immortality Field will keep him at least topped up. He won't be falling, but oh my word, the halt straight into the Discord. Assassin's gone off the map. And an opportunity now for Guangzhou Charge to reassess where they want to be putting into this here. And Bebe, though, it feels like a lot of individual 1v1s just kicking off all over the place. Bebe gets the better of Nero. Still, though, the Charge, they flipped the point in their favor. This is necessary for them. Great halt comes out from Rio. If they can get a kill into Godsby, it would be quite nice. Juicy little cherry on top, but unable to do so. The peel was there from the Spark.
Shu has had such enormous impacts in switching over to the Zen. Able to pick off Bebe, able to charge up 70% of his Transcendence. They utilized their ults in the previous fight, whatever they had to be able to take that over. They absolutely had to. But they're still in a pretty good position. Bazzi's the only person on the Spark that has an ult to use, and they're really in one decent fight kind of territory. Krong with a Gravitic Flux could seal this round, essentially, for the Charge. And all thanks to that free 35% at the beginning of the round.
And you can see Charge just holding on to what they've got, which is the point in this scenario. We see the Gravitic Flux being used by Krong. He tries to get at least any sort of value out of it, but no one's really peeking from the Spark. But there you go. He sent Godspeed straight up into the air, and that gave Happy the opportunity to get him the quick 1-2. Godspeed out of the fight. No Resurrect available, obviously not running the Mercy, so he's not going to be back in this fight, and Happy's just hitting heads. Bazzi falling, crumbles. The Spark in a disastrous position, and they're not even able to touch the point here. Happy just putting on an absolute show for us.
Yeah, and that would have made such, I mean, I hate to keep harping on about it, but it would have made such an enormous difference if the Spark had been able to actually capture that first point, or at least stop the Charge from capturing it. That was only 2-1 fights that the Charge had to complete. They won one in order to flip the point back in their favor, and then they won that final one at the end. The Blizzard from Bazzi, absolutely useless because Shu had already charged up his Transcendence like a mad lad. And then Happy just hits shots all over the place. And this is why it's so frustrating to see Happy completely hit his head against a brick wall over and over again on the Widowmaker, because his Hangzhou is also spectacular.
And now we're going to see some switches in the compositions. Very happy to see Happy now switching over to the Widowmaker. Makes me happy, makes Charge fans happy. How many times can I say happy in a sentence before I get fired? Well, we're going to find out tonight. The Charge have taken the high ground pretty early on. And the Spark are just looking for an opening now. Just a lot of rotations now, and that's going to be the name of the game. The high ground eventually given up here. You can see playing quite far back here. Shu just wants to heal up the rest of his team, try and build up a quick little nano boost. Already on 30%. The Ice Wall from the Spark now looking for opportunities. Big Bionade from Shu, but it's going to be meaning that they do get an equal trade here as Rio just gets destroyed, demolished, taken out of the point. But both teams lose a tank. And the Charge, when they have the high ground like this, they will abuse it, they're going to use it, and they're going to clean you off the point. Happy. 3 kills. In case you can't read the kill feed, sometimes I miss it, but there it is. Give him the 4. Job's done.
That's pretty huge, yeah. The way that these two compositions interact is that there's a lot of pressure on Rio's shield. He has to hold far forward because he wants to get engaged and aggressive really early on, but the whole of the Hangzhou Spark really have to play around each other, and Guangzhou ends up being put in weird situations because neither team can really take the high ground from each other because they don't have a Lucio. So they just have to engage through the front really slowly and try and take the shield wall. So the question becomes, can Rio get bursted down and can Kron get demeched before anybody on the Spark dies?
Or can Godfrey get a pick, because that's what they're relying on right now, these off angles. Godfrey searching for something. I mean, if the mechanics are there, he's able to do it, but just missed the shot. But look at that, that headshot onto Rio set him up, and now he got boosted up there by the enemy's Ice Wall, but a Dragon Strike still hits the mark, and it's going to do what he intended to, splitting up the Charge, splitting them up and away, but now the Nano Boost is unleashed here. You can see Kron just try to save his team, but he's caught out of position. Wonderful war by Bazzi, able to set that one up for the rest of his team here. Still, I feel I don't want to count the Charge out because Happy, he's on a flank, he's on a mad one. Bazzi ends up falling. Still, look at Assassin, he has to try and keep his shield up because Happy is such a nuisance on the flank here. Flashbang comes out, Happy though, forced to back away. He can't really be taking this 1v1 now. The shield recharged up. He dodges the rock, quick little sidestep, the headshot's coming out. Assassin, he's being punished, he's being pressured from every single angle. Godspeed finally puts an end to it, and now the Hangzhou Spark gonna have to start expending a couple of ultimates to win this one. We do take out Rio, but Nero's flexing over to the Tracer. I still think that this is going to be in the Spark's hand. This should be their win with the picks they've got, but they are going to be happy, the Charge that is, for the amount of progress they managed to get onto that point.
Definitely, 82% is fantastic, but the composition that Spark are running is better when it's in control of the point. So now the pressure is on the Charge to break it. And they're moving over, they're going to change their composition up slightly. Nero going back over to May, which is what he was been playing for the majority of the round. And Happy, though, now on the Hangzhou. So that has better shield break than the McCree. And only a small amount, but you can get it from... you can also get a bunch of different picks with it. See if you can hold people in. That's what the Spark are aiming for now. See if they can hold people around to the high ground.
Guangzhou falling very, very low, has to back off and use the Fortify. He has the Supercharger, that's going to be the win condition for them. Bomb sent out, actually gets no value. Kron, I don't know if he was pressured down to low HP and had to use the self-destruct, but not ideal for them. Nano Boost now going to be used here onto Rio, but even with the Nano Boost, even with the damage mitigation, he just gets absolutely chunked down by the Amp Matrix, but he takes out the Supercharger, and that's important for them. Forcing out the Transcendence now from them. Look at that! My goodness, Nerve Shatter sent straight up into the air by the Hulk, goes for the Charge, he pins him against the wall. Guangzhou goes down, they are going to end up trading, but Nero, I mean, he's got the skills, he's got the icicles, and it's enough damage to really just lay into them here. The Charge are in control of the objective, in control of the point, and now 10% remains between them taking away map 1. You can see the change being made. The Spark have to get on the point. Guangzhou on Wrecking Ball.
Yeah, Nero's going to be looking for a freeze as well, and he's got his Blizzard to play aggressively too, so this absolutely should be a Charge victory.
Wall's going to block them off. Guangzhou, greater mortality field, just in the nick of time. The Blizzard is now going to get used here. The Dragon Strike on top, it all collapses, it all layers on top of one another, and that is going to be so many picks going in the way of Charge's favor. It'll be a miracle now for the Spark to try and take this one, but I think we are going to be just seconds away now, and there you have it. Guangzhou Charge are going to be taking map number 1 in quite a convincing fashion, and really playing to a lot of their strengths throughout this entire map, at least from what we've seen.
Yeah, great work there from the Guangzhou Charge. I think that they understood how to play their composition very well, and they were able to really put Happy in a good position to succeed. I think everybody was playing lights out across the board for Guangzhou. Nero hitting a bunch of his different icicle shots too, being able to pressure out Godspeed whenever he was getting aggressive into him. The Guangzhou Charge team just seems like they're very comfortable with this meta. And with the Chengdu versus Dragons game, which was all about how do the teams play dive, how are they being able to control space, are they going to win the Wrecking Ball Fire matchup, this is very much which team is better at the meta comps of the shield break, the double shield, the May. These are what both of these teams have played a lot of, and neither really like to deviate that far away from that base.
Well, we're going to find out if the Hangzhou Spark can actually turn this one around. Currently leading 1-0 to the Charge. We're going to find out after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Zip Chair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor.
Hello everybody, welcome back once more to the series between the Guangzhou Charge versus the Hangzhou Spark. We are currently one map in, and the Guangzhou Charge are leading, and it's been a bit of a one-sided affair. Of course, my name's Bren. I'm joined by Sideshow. He's either in this box or that box. We'll never know the answer, or at least I won't know the answer. You guys at home know the answer because you're watching, obviously. Me, personally, not too sure. But it doesn't matter because we got some Overwatch that we're watching. And it's been a while, Josh. I was reflecting on this in this short break that we've had. It's been 5 weeks since we last commentated a match. 5 weeks.
Yeah, that has been an incredibly long time, actually. It's felt like eons. Since we've casted some Overwatch, but guess what? The meta hasn't really shifted that much. It kind of ping-ponged around a little bit, but a lot of May McCree still being played. Double shield, kind of a bit of echoes of last season's playoffs as well. But it's in a good place. We're able to see teams kind of exercise their style. You're not forced to play a certain 6 heroes. You can kind of play what you want and get away with it as long as those play to your strengths.
Yeah, and we are going to see the teams going into the match pretty shortly. I believe we had one substitution being made. It was Adora, I believe, going in.
Adora coming in for the Spark.
Yeah, so
I think
it's an interesting one.
Yeah, this points me towards Adora playing the Pharah, because it seems like Buzzy is their lock for the May, and I would expect him to come in if they were going to play some Doomfist or something like that, which we've seen a couple of teams experiment with. But Adora tends to be their Genji and their Pharah player. And on Dorado, I'm expecting the Pharah. And what I would love is if Nero tries to match it, because I love Pharah 1v1s, they're incredibly entertaining to watch. And Nero 2019, towards the end in the playoffs, just showcased a wonderful Pharah that we didn't really know he had. So I want to see more of it this year.
Yeah, I think Nero might be one of the best Western DPS players we have in the league.
Yeah,
and making a name for it. I think last year he was one of my candidates for Rookie of the Year. He definitely proved it with a lot of his play.
Definitely.
And I'm expecting, I think we both are expecting quite big things from him. But we'll see now, because it looks like Happy is just kind of teasing one of his roles, you know. He didn't let stray comments sway him away from it. He's teasing the idea of a bit of Widowmaker. I mean, Happy quite synonymous with that hero in a lot of ways, but he is just searching for an opening pick, I believe. Seeing if they're going to be running the defensive Pharah. They're not, so he's going to be going back in, seeing if he can make a switch. Maybe over to Hangzhou, most likely. Yep, so going to be making that switch over. I like this as well. So flashing them in sort of a mirror composition, in fact, a complete mirror composition. And you want that Hangzhou just for that extra shield break.
Yep, Holt's coming up, just getting a bit of shield break. Eventually the Spark will have to rotate around to the archway, just putting down a little bit of pressure, building up a couple of their ultimates. Adora at 25%. And now the real battle begins. Neither team going for that Pharah at the moment, so perhaps that was a Spark defensive, a Spark offensive strategy. But for now, both teams just kind of playing the meta, playing what they were playing for most of the time previously.
Ooh, Happy going down though. Bebe found that pick. Not bad. Sunshine, not bad at all. The Holt just going to be pulling the Spark up. Nothing to really combo with it though. And the Spark going to be happy to just hold on to this one. They need to wait for Happy to come back up. That's a charge to see if they can re-push this one now. The name of the game is going to be looking for a pick-off, just to, like that. If that Icicle had landed just a little bit further up, Godspeed probably wouldn't be standing there right now. He might have just been dead.
Oh, nice shot from Adora as well. They're slowly moving the cart forward and looking for opportunities with Happy. These halts are so important. That's really what can break things here. You want to halt people around shields, above obstacles, see if you can combo them with shots from Nero, shots from Happy, rocks from Krong. That's really what the Charge are looking for.
Pay attention to the way Godspeed is playing around that central pillar as well, because, oh my goodness, Happy. He's fallen very, very low, and the peel is there actually from IDK. IDK waiting in the back line, slammed in the shots, forced him to go backwards. Meanwhile, that has allowed the Charge to get a bit of a foothold here. They want to try and push into this, but the amplification matrix will push them back. Charge still in control of the objective, not letting them get any more sort of space. And now the 1v1 into the corridors. Godspeed ends up coming out on top, and that is his go time. He can take a more aggressive angle straight into them. Nice little shot there from him. Neptuno falling. And the Hangzhou Spark are looking quite clean and quite clinical.
They certainly are, and you look at the ults that were traded in that fight. Neptuno used his Amp Matrix, and that's pretty good, but it forced the aggression out of Spark. Godspeed got the flank, and they used the Blizzard from Adora as well. This is all fine, and the ult advantage is now in favor of the Charge. But Gushue and Sashin are about to get their ults up as well. So if Spark cycle this properly and utilize Sashin and Gushue's ultimates, they can continue to reset the Charge. With only a minute left on the clock, because the Charge took so long to even get in position in the first place, they might not even get in any kind of place to utilize this Blizzard or this Flux. Oh, Nero though, this is really smart. This is going to force positioning, and the Spark don't even realize.
They don't realize this. I mean, maybe it's just the plat player in me, but my internal mind was screaming, nah, just run it all the way in, you know? They won't notice.
I don't think that would work. That might be why you lose your games, trying to backcap all the time.
I mean, it works in the level I'm playing at, Josh, I'm not going to lie.
Okay, Charge have bought time for them to get their tank ults up as well, or it was near enough. Rio's going to have his towards the end of the fight. But with only 30 seconds left, the earlier supercharger from the Gushue and this Flux from Sashin could just end this before it's even begun.
Yeah, it's It's going to be a lot on the ultimate execution from the Nero. Nero forced to use his ice block and the ice wall defensively. These teams do not have much to work with, but the Charger are really stuck between a rock and a hard place. Quite literally unable to really push themselves forward here into Guangzhou Supercharger. They can't play these angles, otherwise they will get destroyed.
Great
2 seconds remaining.
Though.
Somebody does touch the card, so the overtime is going to end starting to tick now, but the Dragon Strike is going to split them up. Kron going down. He didn't get to use his Gravitic Flux. Start to see them getting frozen here. And it looks like the Spark are really coming out on top. The Picks are going their way completely. No one touching the card in the time, or not able to get close enough to it at least. And the Spark are going to be very happy with that. How many times have we seen a full hold on Dorado recently? It feels like a lot.
Yep, it is a lot. It's a very difficult choke point to push, and normally the way that we would see those choke points be pushed in previous years was that you had to build up an ult advantage and really expend a lot to be able to get through that archway. The thing is, when you're playing against double shield, it takes you a long time to build those ults up in the first place. It took them about 2 minutes to be able to build all of their ults there, the Charge, because they kept getting picked off. The halts were really good from Guangzhou, the shots were great from Godsby as well. They found the picks when they needed them to turn fights that otherwise would have allowed Charge to build up their ults. So that was great clutch picks when required from the Spark, and the Charge were just left completely helpless. They just couldn't build their ultimates up to even cycle them for later pushes. You could criticize them for being slow, sure, but there was really no way that they could push that. There was no system by which they could have manufactured themselves an ult advantage. They just needed to play for picks, and they never found them.
Well, we'll see now on the opposite side of things. The roles have reversed. It's going to be the Spark's time to try and push this one. Still a winnable scenario for the Charge. I don't want to count them out just yet because as hard as it was for them to push into it, the roles when they're reversed like this, it's often equally
but here's the thing. The Spark only need one pick, and the Charge just never found that at all in their entire push. It wasn't so much their positioning, it wasn't their ultimates, they just didn't find the pick. They kept trying the right things, but they never found it. So if Guangzhou can find one good halt, or if Godspeed can find one good arrow, they will crack this wide open.
All I'm saying is, Josh, I've seen them win these.
True,
You know what I mean?
True.
I've seen them win these.
I've also lost these before.
Yeah, very losable for the Charge, but we'll see. They make the rotation now early over to choke point. They want to try and defend this one, but they have to play perfectly. They cannot give up a single pick. The shields are so hard to break through. The hold to stun, Happy. That forces out the immortality field early. That's a big cooldown now that the Charge have expended. We'll see if they can try and push this one in. Spark slowly gaining so much space. Happy forced to play so far back here. Desperately trying to work in an angle, seeing if he can get a pick off now. Assassin loads up the accretion, doesn't find anything with it. Getting frozen up now, the shield. Ooh, that pick up onto Nero, and that could be it. Assassin falls though, a 1-for-1 trade, but that holds straight in. Neptuno falls, and you've just lost one of your main healers. It's just Shu with the heals provided, and the Spark just roll it in. They are going to take map number 2, and it is just a bit of a ping-pongy kind of game, if you will. One side rolls one, and then the next map comes around and Spark get to play towards their strengths. Interesting across the board. And I gotta say, it's surprising that Guangzhou Charge, a team with this much mechanical skill packed into it, weren't able to find an opening pick or something when they were attacking that side on Dorado. But maybe just a map that they're quite uncomfortable with, playing compositions that they're uncomfortable with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think that they're uncomfortable on those comps particularly. They just weren't able to find the space to get the picks in the first place when they were pushing. And you saw there when they were on the defense, they just played really passive. They gave Hangzhou all the space in the world, and at that point, you're guaranteed to lose someone eventually, because you have to cover so many angles. You're giving the enemy Hanzo and the enemy Sigma opportunities to spam you, poke you, to be able to find picks. So they failed to control space effectively there on Dorado. Good news for them, they're heading over to Eichenwald, which is a totally different map. It plays very differently. Yes, it does have that snarly choke point at the beginning, but generally speaking, you don't see full holds as often. Having said that, we did see one in our previous game, so it's the era of full holds, apparently.
Well, we'll see what happens now as we head into a break, but after that, we've got our game break with our analysts.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's first and only nationwide 5G network. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hello everybody, welcome to Game Break presented by Cheese It Grooves, and you're joined by your two analysts, of course, Brennan Hook and Joshua Wilkinson, and boy do we have some plays to break down for you here today.
We certainly do, so I want to jump straight into it and go into your crunch time presented by Cheese It Grooves.
Wow.
So let's take a look actually at the opening setup of the Hangzhou Spark versus the Guangzhou Charge. This was the very first round. This is where Krong got sucked into the pit. So I want to kind of showcase what was going on here. So as you can see from Godspeed's point of view, the Guangzhou Charge are positioned all around here, and the Hangzhou Spark have got kind of a circle around the point. And it's actually a huge halt that comes out from Rio. That you can see it here. It sucks all of these guys into the pit. So that's Godspeed, that's Gushui, sorry, not Godspeed, that's Bazi, Gushui, and Sashin all falling into the pit there. And so that's what kind of sets this up. It's just a brawl right at the bottom. Then Krong gets sucked into the pit as well, and he ends up falling down there. And this is this weird situation where now Krong's got an immortality field just brawling at the bottom of him. That immortality field ends up being huge on Neptuno because it stops this rotation coming in just at the right time. And look, just as this is about to cap, they come up top, and at the point caps. That then leads to a 35% increase for the Guangzhou Charge, and they're able to take this round and just kind of steal it away from the Hangzhou Spark. Kind of a ridiculous situation, but you'll love to see it, just dunking people into the well. So there's your crunch time presented by Cheese It Grooves.
That was a beautiful play, Josh, but I've got a Cheese It Grooves breakdown of my own. A little while ago, I actually asked the lovely people who are watching this show to message me, tweet at me, your breakfast, and I've got a lot of responses that I wasn't expecting. So we've got Jesse Locke, who's having a side of Raisin Bren with Sideshow of Overwatch for breakfast with a smirky face. Not sure if that's an innuendo or not, but we'll brush past it. Someone's having a cranberry biscuit and, and something else as a 2 a.m. snack. Wonderful, Adam. I'm so glad that you're keeping your energy levels up. Someone else had some Lucios. Wonderful as well. Always got to plug in those ones.
Of course.
Bryce Patterson. I had some nice and lovely Cheese It Grooves, followed by It's a Mind Crunch with a little smiley face. So thank you, Bryce Patterson, for allowing me to fit in one more for the rolls. But that's going to be our game break at least. We hope it was at least some sort of insightfulness to your lives on this fine evening. Is it evening? It's 3 o'clock in the morning.
It's evening
Pacific
somewhere,
time for
right?
me.
It's
It is evening. It's always evening somewhere in the world. But I think I'm making my producers angry. So we're going to cut to a break, but when we come back, we've got Map 3 coming up.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch.
Legend of Soul Guard. Download now.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by HyperX. Unleash your style, unleash your fury. With HyperX Fury Memory.
Welcome back, everybody. Yep, that was our game break. We weren't too long, were we? It wasn't that hard to wait for us, but we are back, and we are going to be heading into Map 3 of this series between the Guangzhou Charge and the Hangzhou Spark soon enough. But first, I just want to thank, you lovely people for sending me in your breakfast ideas. Wonderful stuff. Personally, me, Josh, I like a good bagel with avocado and cream cheese.
Yeah,
that's been my go-to.
It's a good shout. My go-to is oats, like making porridge with oats, and you put like frozen fruit into the oats and cook it together.
Ooh,
super.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I mean, it sounds like we have quite healthy breakfasts. Although I will say, it's not healthy when you have it 7 days in a row. The avocado and cream cheese really adds up. It's a lot of protein, though. So I mean, it's good for the gains, but I just haven't been working out. So I tell you, it's instead of been going into the biceps, it's been going straight into the premature dad stomach.
You
that
should
I
be working out more than anybody else. You're the only person I know that has a home gym in quarantine.
Yep, I set it up. It's there. Other people have been making usage of it in the house that I'm in, but me personally, I mean, to be fair, no, I tell a lie. I do use it, but it's life's just been catching up. You got to work out though. You got to stay sane in these times of quarantine. Thankfully, I've got the Overwatch League coming up. I say coming up like I'm not already casting it, but we got the Overwatch League to keep ourselves busy. But yeah, you got to stay active as well. And that's actually a command from me to everybody listening to this. Make sure you exercise. Go outside, take a walk,
do some jumping,
do some stretches right now. Actually, just do some basic stretches. Still keep watching though, because we require your viewership to survive. But do some basic stretches as we head into Map 3 of Hangzhou Spark versus the Guangzhou Charge, and it is 1 apiece as it stands. So both teams able to take a map, and both teams taking a map in a one-sided affair as well. It's always weird when you see that, because you try and reflect on it afterwards, and you're like, well, what really changed here? But I think a big part of it was just the Charge unable to really find an opening, and Godspeed coming alive. But a change of pace, a change of maps now, as we're heading over to Eichenwald, and this is a map that I can actually foresee Charge doing quite well with.
Definitely, I think that it suits them, but both teams I think are going to be pretty even. This could be a bit of a slobber knocker that we've got, this Battle of the Joes, because both teams are pretty evenly matched across the board, and both playing the exact same style, so it comes down to who executes better.
See Godspeed just hoping for an opening pick-off here. He's spamming these corners. He doesn't want to get too far around the corner because, again, he might be susceptible to Happy just taking his cranium off with an arrow of his own. But you can see Rio, nice little bit of tech there. If you're wondering why he shot the shield up in the sky, it's because it sets his shield off cooldown and he gets a new one on the floor. So his shield, 2 seconds until it's up there, you can see. Try that one in your ranked games, he's doing it again. Just a nice little bit of efficiency going out there from the Charge.
Yeah, very nice. And the Charge are just able to keep them at bay. The reduction in shield health that was involved in one of the new patches has kind of changed the dynamic of this a lot. You really can't peek that often. The shields break almost instantly, so the margin for error is much lower than it used to be with these kind of compositions.
One of the main reasons you play these comps is not really for the shield. as it much was previously. It's actually for the pick potential with the Holt to try and combo up. And you can see that he was trying to make usage of that. Oh, big man of that. Great boop! Right onto Reed. Discord Orb was there, but he had the damage mitigation. He could survive to run back his little horsey legs back to his team. Spark, though, they have position.
Close. IDK is pretty close to his Ant Matrix here. This could be a game changer for the Hangzhou Spark.
Ooh! But there you go, that's that Holt again. Straight into the backline. Neptuno gets yoinked up, sets it up with Godspeed, the Discord Orb as well, and they find that out in pick. Neptuno falling is really disastrous right now for the Charge. They're going to lack heals, they're going to lack a damage output. They're going to lack a lot here, so they have to make aggressive plays, and that's exactly what they're doing. You see the Transcendence was used, the Ice Wall, they pick off Sassin, and they managed to find another one onto Adora as well, so they may be able to hold this, but Gushue still a threat on the point. Takes out Rio, the Dragon Strike is wonderful. Happy sets it up, Bebe ends up going down. The Holt, last-ditch effort there from the Spark, but they're unable to really get more than just a tick.
I absolutely love that from Shu, Krong, and Nero. The push on the flank was wonderful. Nero was caught out of position, then Krong and Shu go aggressive with him. Shu uses his Transcendence, and Nero, realizing that they're pushing, walls off Sashin so that he can't get that Immortality field either. A great clutch play to keep charging the point after a nice pick from the Spark.
Oh, another nice wall from Nero as well. He locks up Sassin away from his team, and they didn't have the damage to burst through the wall to try and heal him up. So taking out Sassin, again, just shaving off seconds on the clock. This is what you want to be doing as the Charge. If you can get a pick off, you know, you just basically push them back and back and back. The next thing you know, look at them. A minute left on the clock. They've only got a tick. But they do have some ultimates coming online. Oh. But does it even matter when Happy's getting picks like this?
1 minute left. By the time Bebe gets back in position, there will be only one fight possible. And even then, it's going to be difficult for the Spark to get to the point. They have to navigate the flux kind of situation. Bebe does have his trance though. That is going to be huge. If Sashin can find a good flux, Shu does not have his Transcendence available anymore to save his team. So Spark, they're battling against the map geometry, but they do have the better ults.
So many ults coming online here. The Dragon was used by Godspeed to try and gain positioning, so they've got past the choke point. That is key, that's critical for them. Holt doesn't connect onto him as well, so that's going to be off cooldown for Rio. And now they're just waiting, seeing. It's a game of patience. They're testing the middle of both of these sides. Spamming them in. Ultimate's now going to start to be unleashed here. Gushue using that supercharger, but Rio answers with one of his own. Gushue's supercharger gets destroyed by Happy. Happy taking an off angle. Blizzard is going to be used onto the point. No one able to really touch this one. No one able to really connect onto the point here, but still winnable now for the Spark. Nice little Transcendence being used here by Bebe. Keeps the team alive. Now the Graphitic Flux comes up, and it should be a free kill here onto at least the backline. So maybe one of them. No, not quite. Spark's still in it, still surviving. Krong trying to get the off angles, trying to see if he can hit a couple of these shots, but it looks like the Spark are winning this one out, the battle of attrition. Don't count them out just yet.
Shu's going to come back in with a Transcendence here. He's trying to run his way in, and he's going to heal everybody up.
That is ridiculous, managing to turn this one around, and no one's able to touch the point. What is that, 84%? That's all the Spark managed to achieve. And that's the issue with the Charge. Unless you get rid of them like a nasty bit of roots in the garden, you need to get rid of the roots, the weeds, I should say, you ever done gardening, Josh?
Yeah, I'm actually wonderful at gardening. I've got green thumbs.
When it comes to weeds, you got to get them out at the root. The Charge are a little bit like a weed garden pest. If you don't get rid of every single member of the team, if you leave even one of them on the point, you never know when they're going to turn it. And that's the scenario that we just saw. And the Spark are going to be looking at themselves. They're going to be kicking themselves because they had opportunities, but they just mistimed a couple of things.
Yeah, definitely true. I mean, the picks as well. Bebe getting picked by Happy just 30 seconds before they were able to engage. That doesn't help. That incredible play by Shu, Krong, and Nero on the right-hand side too, when they were able to bust the Transcendence, and then Shu still manages to get up his trance for the final fight and come in and clutch it. That's really strong play by Shu. Shu has been very impressive on the Zenyatta on map 1 and now on map 3.
Team's going to start to get ready, as you can see them A little bit of a huddle up in the upper rafters here. What even area is this of Eichenwald? Is it a bar? It's a workshop,
It's
right?
a bar. No, look, it's got.
Oh, it is a bar.
It's
Yeah.
got beer taps.
Yeah, but there was a short cinematic with Reinhardt and Brigitte in it. So
Yeah, well,
what confused me. I think she might use it as a workshop as well. I'm not too sure.
Sure, you can work while you drink.
We
can't, but certainly
not advisable for us. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people probably are working from home. But that is a great opening pick there onto Bebe, and that's those holds. That should just win it. You remove the Discord Orb, that's the damage gone now for the Spark, and they get a lot of ground for it as well. You can see them waiting for the shields to get recharged up, and the positioning.
Oh, another halt though. Coming out from Gushue there. That was pretty good. Manages to get damage, but not much more.
You need to get a pick. You need to capitalize off the halts, and Krong with the spam around the corners. They need to start contesting the point, but the Spark are crumbling. They're falling to pieces before our very eyes. The Charge just waltzing onto the point. They're making an absolute meal out of it. Look at them. All they've got is a couple of more stragglers to clean up, and that is going to be the map. Surely, if they stay alive, there you have it. Guangzhou Charge. Very one-sided affair on Eichenwald. And I said it at the start of this map, at least. I said, the Guangzhou Charge, it feels like they would be comfortable on this type of map. And they just proved it in spades just now.
Yeah, definitely. This is the kind of map that suits them so much, where you can split your team into two kind of portions. You have your tanks rotating. The positioning was all very good from them as well. That was excellent play. That was really a masterclass coming out from the Guangzhou Charge. And the Hangzhou Spark didn't do too many things badly, but they just didn't get the picks when it was required, and that led to a huge snowball in terms of the ultimates, and they couldn't get the clutch moments, whereas the Charge could. This has been such a weird match. A very one-sided map 1 and 3 for the Charge, and a very one-sided map 2 for the Spark. Are we just going to go all the way to map 5, just blow for blow?
We could, we really could, but there's only one way to find out, Josh, and that's by going to a break. We're going to find out map 4 coming up after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by ZipChair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League.
All right, well, welcome back. We got map 4 coming up shortly. I bet you're expecting a different casting pair, but no, they haven't got rid of us just yet. You're still stuck with us, unfortunately, to learn about gardening, different types of breakfast that you might be eating at this time. If you're from Europe right now, you know, you're in lockdown, you need something to watch. Well, luckily we've got the Overwatch League here for you, watching the Asian teams, and they have not disappointed. I got to say, I don't really have time to touch on this too much, but what it feels like, at least, what is the edge in these matches, is it feels like the Hangzhou Spark, they have better team play, I would say. As a unit, as a team, it feels like they are a little bit better when it comes to working as a team themselves. But the mechanical individual abilities of the Guangzhou Charge is much better, I think, pound for pound. When you match the players up against the Spark, I think you're going to end up being much better when you look at the Charge. And the Charge can capitalize off that. If they can get the picks needed, they will end up winning out a lot of these series. But when you see maps like Dorado, where Hangzhou Spark can play around the geometry, they play around their cooldowns perfectly, they have the rotations at the right time, the Charge don't really get anywhere. So it is this weird juxtaposition between these two teams that we're seeing, and we're going to be heading into Hanamura as the next map. Sideshow Gaming, how do you think this is going to be going?
I would agree with your analysis, except that I think the team play is kind of fine on Guangzhou. They're just not very proactive. They're very good at reacting. They're very good at splitting people up and making reactive decisions when they need to, but they're not that great so far from what we've seen. At being able to make their own space, at being able to find
Guangzhou
something
Charge?
out of nothing. Yeah, the Guangzhou Charge.
Yeah,
And
I think
that's-
they showed some reasonable signs of that, though. You remember when they lost the player just then on Icon Vault early on? I can't quite remember who it was, but they used the initiative. Shu used the Transcendence, and they walled someone off.
That's very
That's
reactive. It's
Right,
reactive. It's
okay.
instinctual. They saw an
Yeah.
opportunity and they went for it. They're not as good at being able to force out cooldowns and create those opportunities themselves. That's why I'm slightly worried for them here on Hanamura, because pushing into Hanamura against this kind of composition, it's going to be similar to Dorado in my opinion. You are trying to make something out of nothing, and I think their general strat for that is less about controlling space, rotating cooldowns, and it's more about, let's see if we can get a pick. Let's see if Happy's in a position to get a pick. If they can find a pick here, it might look really easy for them. If they can't, we could be seeing another full hole.
Shields go down, the Hulk's going to be traded, and they're just looking for the pickoffs, as you said, Josh. They are trying to find an opportunity to work their way through, but Hanamura, difficult one. The choke point, a lot of similarities, if you will, you can tie to Dorado in some sense. And Godspeed, this is how he was playing on Dorado. He's playing around the fountain on that first point. In this case, he's playing around a giant bell on the point. But the exact same. They're playing quite patiently, and they know that what Happy's looking for is a pickoff. They're looking for an opportunity. They're keeping their eyes on him and denying him a lot of that with the positioning they're playing.
Definitely, but because Hanamura's much big... Oh, this is nice. I love
like
this
it.
from the Guangzhou Charge. They've actually found an ability to push people behind.
Okay. Rotation comes around here, so now the
But
Charge...
the Spark have pushed in aggressive, so this is a great counter-reaction here coming out from the Spark. As soon as you realize you're in a 6v4, they push aggressive. There's no way that Nero and Krong are going to be able to backcap. It's not that kind of composition, so there's no risk whatsoever at taking that 6v4. The Charge needed to know that that was coming and set Happy up on an off angle to try and get a pick or something like that. But they can still engage now. It's just down to Nero and Krong to make something happen.
It's like their own little adventure. I could not think of a worse duo to make a TV series out than May and Sid. But here we have it. The initiation comes out as Spark try and take just a little bit of a reactionary gameplay coming out from them. Happy does get the pick off, and the backline was meandering around. As you can see, Nero and Krong were finding a pick off onto the point. But again, Spark, they just push straight into them, and they use the Hulk to try and set up a couple of kills, and it pays off big time. But now, because Happy got that pick off right at the start of that push, the Spark have to back away from the choke. They have to play a bit more passive.
Definitely, and you can see that Nero and Krong are in position to reconnect with their team and take a 6v5 now. They're pushing and applying pressure from the top of stairs as the other four are coming in through main. They get the kill onto Gushue because the shields go down so much faster because there's no Bebe in the fight.
Yeah, I gotta say now, it's looking like Charges. It's a home run for them. When you find this many pickoffs, it's a brutal run back from their spawn all the way to this point on Hanamura. And look at this. Is Spark even going to be able to contest this? I don't think so. They're going to try to. They're going to try and push their way on. But remember, you're not running a Lucio. You can't speed boost your way on. Luckily, we are in an era where they are going to get very fast respawns. I believe only 3.5 seconds. So look at that. All of Spark already up. If they had done this a couple of patches ago, it would have been a death sentence.
So there they made the magic out of nothing. That was what we were criticizing Guangzhou for, is their ability to create opportunities, and they did it there with Krong and Nero. But point B is even more difficult than point A. So let's see what their plan is.
I mean, Supercharger comes down from Gushue, but destroyed by Happy. He got no value out of that. A pretty poor Supercharger, if I do say so myself, because I mean, now, it's not even like the Charge have to kite it back. They are just going to be waiting for their resources to come back up. They're going to be waiting to build up an ultimate or two. And now it is go time. Hulk comes out. Beautiful setup. Adora goes down. But a reactionary play from the Hangzhou Spark. The Dragon Strike comes out, and that splits him up, takes out Krong.
Yeah, very nice play from Spark, reading the attack, even though Guangzhou had set themselves up in a good position. So this is kind of battering your heads against a brick wall if you continue to go top right and just try and cycle abilities. They have noted that Sashin and Adora are playing on the left, and you can break that shield and find picks on the main fairly easily. So you see here where they've got kind of a 2-2 split with one shield on the balcony and one shield on the high ground. It's easy for them to put pressure on the Sigma here, but the ults are going to be so powerful for the Sparks.
A lot of damage, and now we see the Blizzards being rotated between them. Spark finding a pick, but happy as well. Halted forward, Adora forced to use the Ice Block, and enforcing the Spark's positioning. They have to play aggressively here to try and save their team. Say no, it's going to be all over. Luckily, they find a pick in the form of Nero. Neptuno follows shortly after. Guangzhou going down is not going to matter in the grand scheme of things because he does have that much closer respawn.
Yeah, I've got to tell you, Bren, I'm not a big fan of that. Nero used his ult in what was like a 5... It's essentially a 5v6 because the Spark are going to get spawners. And then Rio and Neptuno both used their ults as well to try and make the fight winnable. It was at no point winnable. And now the Spark with 2 minutes left are in a great position to hold this because they have ultimates to work with. They're going to be faster to get their tank ultimates. They're going to be faster to get their Blizzard. In a great
rotation
position.
was there. In terms of the ultimates, they were rotating the ultimates in an effective way, and now, as you said, they're just holding on to this point. But Happy has this Dragon Strike. This is probably one of the key ultimates they're going to be using to try and break this. He gets the recon, the vision out, and now here comes the Dragon Strike straight up into them. The Mortality Field is there from IDK, which keeps him alive, but Assassin uses the Gravitic Flux, drops down to the low ground, but Adora falls. These are the kind of openings that you're looking for if you're the Guangzhou Charge. Now Guangzhou tries to respond with his own Supercharger. Going to be pumping out a lot of damage here. Kong is in a troubling scenario, but he's pushed onto the low ground, pushes forward, and Assassin is going to go down. Nice little accretion there, but a fortify in time from Guangzhou. The longer this fight goes on, it should theoretically be better for Spark, but the Charge have not lost anyone just yet.
Yeah, the Charge have done a great job here of being able to get into position. The ults, though, are just starting to come up, and Krong gets totally frozen.
Krong alive!
And the trance.
Yeah, it's not enough. They burst him through with the Amplification Matrix. The Transcendence Healing wasn't enough. And now the Spark are in a great position to try and hold on to this one now. They expended a lot of ultimates to use it, but that pick on Krong was the opening one. That's the one they needed. Spam from Nero, the Icicles from afar. Maybe enough if he can get a stray headshot or two. You see them still trying to push this one up. Nero uses the Ice Block again defensively. Not going to have that one. Dragon Strike forces out the Transcendence. Spark have to try and make a move. IDK somehow falls. Nero was halted back there by Rio.
If Nero gets this Blizzard, Bren, this could be absolutely game-changing. They've managed to stay in control of all of this space, and Nero's building up to a game-changing Blizzard.
Looking for it now. Still holding on. The Spark, they need to get a pick off here if they want to try and defend this one. Nero, the Blizzard gets laid down. Guangzhou has to fortify so he survives. Turns his back to them, but destroyed. Taken out of the fight. Godsby switching over to the Widowmaker. A last-ditch effort for him to try and make something work, to make something happen. Bebe, he's rotated himself all the way down into the background here, laying in the damage from afar, seeing if he can get anything done. The Charge still in control once more. Happy with the headshot onto Adora, taking out the necessary targets. No one is contesting to Bebe, but I don't think it matters. Still, we're looking for that second tick now. We start to see the stall heroes coming out. Godsby onto the Tracer, but recalls away. Does not have that on cooldown, and he will fall. The Charge, they've managed to find their way back onto the point. Neptuno moving over to the Moria just so he can get back into the fight in time. And they are building up these ultimates effectively. Happy uses the Dragon Strike, takes out Assassin. They need just a couple of picks. Bebe being assaulted in the back line. That was their one opportunity, their one advantage that they had to try and win this one. It's going to be so tough for them now as Guangzhou gets pressured on a sliver of HP, and finally he will fall. Godsby tries his best, not quite good enough, and there it is, the Guangzhou Charge. I am actually very impressed by the way they managed to hold on to that point. Normally when fights go to distance like that, even with the overtime ticking, it gets a little bit more in their favor, but they held on to that for so long. And all they needed to do was slip up once, and the Spark would have been back in that.
Yeah, beautiful patience coming out from Guangzhou, and that I think is really what seals it for them. They don't rush, even though the timer is ticking down. They don't give up their advantageous position. They don't push too far forward on the point so that they can die. They just set up in great, kind of like a semicircle, looking at the spawn and looking at the players trickling onto the point, building up those ults. The ults from the Spark just have to be thrown out before they die, but the Guangzhou Charge can be selective with when they use them because they were so patient and perfect with their positioning there. That was a great push on Hanamura. Even though they only get the 2 points with no time remaining, I think that was very well executed from Guangzhou.
Well, as we head into the match now, you can see once more both sides are going to be rolling out here. A wonderful performance from the Guangzhou Charge, able to hold on to that, and it is that mechanical skill that really pushes them over the edge. in my book. I'm a big fan of a lot of the individual players here. I had them high up in my individual power rankings. Spark are going to be looking to see if they can attack and potentially get a better time. Maybe some time bank on top would be lovely for them. But it all starts here as the doors are going to open up. And this is an interesting one. Adora coming over to the Genji, but instantly switches back. Mayhem's just trying to look for a reflect on something coming through. But he's going to be switching back over to the Mei. So mirror comps almost for both of these teams. Guangzhou running Shu and Neptuno. And running the Ana, and a lot of healing output here for Guangzhou Charge. That's him moving forward. They managed to find a little bit of an entryway here to this corridor. Spark going to start to try and play aggressively into them. If they can get a pick off here, could be beautiful for them. A lot of damage being put down. The Immortality field shorted and put down very early on here. Maybe it brings down Rio. Losing your main tank, not ideal, but the Charge, they have to play aggressive, and they do just that. Sass falls. They lose a tank, they trade it out, but still, this is a good position right now for the Spark. A better position for them, if you will, because of the spawn situation, the way it works. It's going to take a while for Rio to get back into the fight. Pick on to shoot. That's excellent.
To turn things around massively. Without the healing, there's no way that the Charge can actually take this fight. They're going to go for it, obviously, but there's no way. They're just going to get bullied.
Yeah, they're just going to get bullied off of the point here. You see them trying to make it work, although, unless Happy pick on the Assassin, maybe Happy can kill everyone. If Happy can get a 6k, maybe it's winnable. I mean, I've seen stranger things happen. Leaps around to the back line, but Bebe shuts him down. He's like, hey, listen, Sunshine, get off my plot of land. Like a farmer. The man attempts to walk across his land, across the entirety of Wales in a straight line.
And he digs them out by the weeds. Digs the weeds out by the roots.
The weeds by the roots. There's analogies that we can work on. That's probably one of the things we can work on.
Believe than what the Guangzhou Charge had, and a decent ult bank here as well. They've got the Hults and the Supercharger, which are always so useful for cracking open areas like this. Krong's really got to be careful.
What?
He gets
Krong! Oh no, you fool of a took. He's been demeched. He's taken out. The Immortality field is there to try and keep him alive. He does stay alive, but the trouble is, I mean, he doesn't have a mech. He's pretty much out, but happy. Oh, sneaky boy. Going for the backline here. Wants to try and find a pick off. The recon hour guns out. He's trying to get positioning right now. Spots one.
This is so crucial.
This is his time to shine right now. Forces out the Transcendence. I mean, that's not bad, but the trouble is right now, the Spark are getting picks. If you're a Charge fan, it's not ideal. Christian comes out, connects onto the two of them. Spark are rolling this one in. Wonderful pickoffs for them. Nero tries to clutch it, sends out the Blizzard, but to no avail. 4 minutes on the clock right now, and now it is a stagger time. Krong out of position has set this one up for the Spark. They are rolling with it, and 3 minutes 54 seconds in their time bank. That is magical for the Spark.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even though Guangzhou played their offense really well, a couple of slip-ups on the defense and they just gift the Spark an enormous time bank. Yeah. Happy absolutely needed to kill Bebe there in one shot before Bebe even realized that he was under attack. And he failed. And the Transcendence and then a pick from Godspeed and it's all over. Happy makes a big play or attempts to make a big play and it just doesn't work. But that's not the reason that they lost. The reason that they lost is because instead of trying to mirror with the shields and play a very stable style, they tried to play the Reinhardt and the D.Va, which is all about being able to brawl and be able to escape with the D.Va. And instead, Krong was caught napping and just got demeched immediately. I mean, you just can't allow that to happen when you're playing that composition. Otherwise, your Reinhardt then gets rolled. There's just so many more ways that you can collapse. It's a little safer to play the double shield because that shield is very much a physical barrier that stops you being in harm's way.
The Charge have an absolute mountainous ordeal to try and get themselves over. It is 4 minutes in the time bank here for the Spark to just get a single tick. Should be quite easy if you've watched the Sparks offense last round, but we will see now if they can manage to do it. The Charge, all eyes on them to try and make some magic happen. They're going to be relying on Happy to do just happy things, which is, of course, getting those pickoffs. And the Spark are doing something interesting here. They look like they want to make a wholesale switch up. They realize we just need a single tick. So you know what we're going to do? Oh, it's dive time, baby. We're going to build up the Nano Blade. We're going to let Guangzhou get a couple of initiations with the Power Driver. And that's all we have to do. That's how we take this.
I quite like this. It could completely fail. That's very possible. But I like this because they only need a single tick. And it's when you mirror, you're either going to full complete or get full health. But with this composition, you're always pressuring the backlines. You're always trying to pull and stretch the Guangzhou Charge's composition around. So it becomes more difficult for them to adapt to it.
Yep. Which way goes down though? They're doing a good job of, I think, mitigating what the Spark are attempting to do. You look at the positioning of the Spark right now. Positioning. Excuse me. Kotsby hiding away. Luckily we're not in an arena right now, otherwise the crowd will be umming and ahhing. Trying to give something away, but the Charge should recognize that they have players behind them right now. As you can see, Guangzhou is just rolling around, and this is the kind of setup plays they need. They need to try and get a kill or two. Beautiful shots coming in from Kotsby here, unloading the lead. Shield comes out though, and appeal is there from the rest of the team, but this is what the Spark are trying to achieve. They're surrounding them, and also trying to divide them, conquer them if they will, if they can. Shots pumping out, trying to get something out onto Rio here. Key now is going to be for the Guangzhou Charge to try and survive this. Losing Rio is not good at all, but still winnable here for the Charge. This is now for Nero. He might opt to be using this one. The trouble is, what target are you even connecting this onto? Nero has to use his Ice Block to survive. The Immortality Field as well. Amplification Matrix. The bomb by Godspeed doesn't find anything, and they've torn through them.
This is
no ultimate's really even necessary here.
Another
Happy up big if they want to try and spin this one, but it's just not going to be happening. War of attrition far too much, and the pickoffs were there for the Spark, and they're going to end up taking map number 4. We have gone the absolute distance here, Josh.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Yeah, talking in a
you've taken
camera.
audio off.
Do you
5,
need me-
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Test 1,
8,
2,
9,
3, 4,
10.
5, 6, 10. You gonna count up again, Josh? Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One, two, three, four.
Legend of Soul Guard. Download now.
Average Joe's, and it's me, Average Joe. I've kicked Bren off the cast because I wasn't happy with his performance tonight. I think he was the reason that we had these weird swaps between performance level in these two teams. So I'm trying to run a controlled experiment here. So I've kicked him out. We might bring him back in a little bit later on. But for now, we're headed into Nepal to try and decide which team is going to take it all. And I'm going to be bringing you the action just all by my lonesome. So far, we've had a really weird match. It's been like both teams have been playing the meta compositions, but they've been trying to find opportunities to engage, to break certain points, and it seems like it's very map dependent on which team ends up getting the better end of it. It's strange to contrast that to the Chengdu versus Shanghai game, where both were just attacking each other all over the place. But we're heading into Nepal here, and I've just realized that I actually can't do play-by-play. So I'm afraid that Bren is actually going to have to come back in. I didn't really think this one through at all, did I?
I'm back. I'm back. You can't get rid of me that easily. At least I hope I'm back. Sorry about the audio delay, guys. Obviously, a lot of moving parts when you decide to move an entire offline system to online with a week's notice. So, obviously, I appreciate you guys sticking with us.
Actually, I preferred it when you were gone. Could you go again, please?
I mean, you don't get rid of me that easily, pal. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to blackmail me or something. I don't know. But we're heading into
I've got material. I've got material.
I'm sure. Actually, a lot of people do, Josh. That's a scary thing. I mean, there's videos out there. There's a lot. But you got the Hangzhou Spark versus the Guangzhou Charge. Map 5. It's gone the distance, as we suspected, between these two teams. Battle of the Joes, I think is the nickname that we're giving it. And so far, we have seen the Guangzhou Charge absolutely decimate the control map, at least the first time these teams clashed earlier in this series. You would expect the Guangzhou to have an advantage coming into this one as well.
I mean, this one's very different though. It's much scrappier. It favors the kind of wrecking ball style of play. So I think that the Hangzhou Spark are actually looking like they're in a better position to take it. If I had to bet, I think they're the team to take it in this final one, because the disruption that Guangzhou is going to do on this wrecking ball is going to be enormous. A lot of it comes down to how good Bazzi's Tracer can really be, because Godspeed then is forced over to the Genji just to accommodate Bazzi.
We'll see. You can see it's the Rhine Diva being ran by the Charge. Godspeed just trying to get a couple of off angles, see if he can build up the blade. Keep laying in the damage. Peacekeeper doing work. He's finding an opening, at least off onto the side here, as Assassin falls very, very low, but no side really opening up the point as of yet. Not able to find a pick. They're looking for them. Happy with the armor pack is almost an immovable object in a certain sense. Being pressured in the back line here by Bazzi. Has to recall the way. Guangzhou falling very low. The wall. We're trying to split apart the Spark to see if the Charge can find a pick or two, but it's difficult for them. But now we see the Nana being used greatly from Shu as well. The mechanics are definitely there. Happy having to fan the hammer. The pulse pump comes out, boom forward. Happy. Oh no, no, no. Caught out of position. Still alive though, but not for much longer it feels like, whereas the rest of the Charge are just crumbling, falling to pieces, and the Spark are going to be able to capitalize and take this first opening round, or at least get the first capture of it.
Very nice work. Bazzi finding both of the players in the backline there. Really nice from him, and great disruption from Guangzhou. My big question mark for the Spark is whether Godspeed and Bazzi can be an effective Genji Tracer duo. Bazzi's been good on Tracer when he's played it in the past. It's one of his better heroes, actually. It's what he's played a lot of. But an Overwatch League kind of level, not so much. So the fact that Bazzi's able to have a large impact in that first fight indicates very good things for the Spark. But Guangzhou getting caught out there does not. Yeah, but
he got stun locked there. The flashbang and the shield bash were timed up perfectly. They locked him up. Probably asleep to set it up as well. Guangzhou going down has opened this up, but the thing about Wrecking Balls is they get back in easily enough, and now it's blade time for Godspeed. Gets whip-shotted backwards. He's trying to find an opening. He gets a pick at least onto Rio. That's better than one was expecting from that one. The Spark are still holding on to this one. As I said, Guangzhou was immediately back in the fight. Even if you get a pick onto the Wrecking Ball, they have so much mobility. They're able to just make it straight back in. It's almost as if they never left.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the charge there from Rio. If you noticed, Godspeed used his blade to try and get aggressive onto Neptuno, and Neptuno whip-shot him away. So Godspeed would have been totally useless, except that Rio gifted himself like a fine dining platter to be manged upon. And Godspeed just gobbled him up and used the dash reset to be able to execute onto other people. It's incredibly important that the Guangzhou Charge are able to execute with these ultimates coming up here. They can't lose a player early on.
Bazzi had the armor pack, he survived it! Oh my word, the explosions are all over the place. Self-destruct and a post bomb, a deadly combo in the right hands, and the Spark, I think they might have just done it on round number 1 at least. We are 95% and counting. Don't want to count the Charge out just yet, but those pickoffs have been pretty huge for him. You can see Krong trying to go for it, but look at that Earth Shatter! 4 people, I think, just went down. Rio clutching it up. What is it about this section of Nepal? Huge Earth Shatters. It seems almost synonymous with one another. And you can see that has opened it up, and the Charge, they needed a miracle play like that. Rio delivered.
It only seems like yesterday that we were casting the Washington Justice as they were in a map 5 series on Nepal. And Raw hit a 5-man shatter in the exact same position. Rio coming out clutch there for his team. The Washington Justice did not win that series. And I'm getting the same kind of vibes here, honestly, as well. Because IDK is switching back over to the Ana, and the Spark is still in a great position. The Blizzard, which would be such an incredible ultimate normally, is not very good against the hyper-mobile comp that the Spark are running. So a lot of this is going to just, again, come down to execution. Pulling the Guangzhou Charge apart and trying to look for individual kills.
Gushu is waiting patiently in the back line as a good ball player would. And they'll be trying to set up now. The bombs come down, power drive, it's a classic combo. You're going to try and push them into the bombs itself. Godspeed now with the blade. Dash reset is there. Goes for the deflect, but oh my goodness, you mistimed it, and Happy, he's punished you. The 3K for him, 2 with the Deadeye, follows it up. It's those kind of clutch plays that the Charge, they are known for, and I gotta say, a bit of a misplay by Godspeed as well, that deflect. I believe he may have wall climbed to have cancelled it.
That's unfortunate. Really unfortunate, but Happy comes up with the goods exactly when it's required. They'll need to do that another 2 times though. The speed and tempo at which the Spark can play with this composition means they'll have multiple opportunities to recontest this. No ults on the board as well, apart from Krong's defense. Self-destruct, sorry. And Krong's self-destruct, unlikely catch very much.
Shui just kind of grappling his way through the map, seeing if he can set up a play onto a few of them. A lot of good wrecking ball players, they need a bit of patience as well, just waiting to find the perfect moment to sweep your way in there, force the positioning in your favor. The Spark, they flip the point.
They flip the point and send the self-destruct into the back as well. That doesn't really find anything, and Krong just required to use the self-destruct to remake.
Okay, big Bionade from IDK. Next on to 2, but no one to really capitalize off of it, but they still are in control of the point now. Happy goes to try and clutch this one. Nano boost used. But the Deadeye doesn't really get anything at all. In fact, another huge Bionade from IDK. Connects onto Rio and Shu. They are in a disasterly position. And Bazzi with a pick on to Happy. I gotta say, Godfrey with this blade might just be the cleanup they need. And there you go. The Spark able to just push out the Charge away from the point. They get the capture. And at that point, it was just a matter of time waiting for the Ultimates to build up.
It certainly was. The next 2 maps, or the next 2 rounds, the next 2 stages, whatever you want to call them, they, that was a bit of a Brennism there. I think I'm
infecting you, honestly.
Yeah. Anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is, these next 2 stages, the Sanctum and Village, play much more into the way that the Guangzhou Charge would like to play. It's more confined areas, it's more pushing into a high ground and a low ground when you talk about Village, or a bunch of different choke points when you talk about Sanctum. But instead, the Charge are actually opting into this. Ooh, the Ball and Zarya. We saw a lot of this in the Gladiators versus Shock match, actually. Didn't work out for the Shock.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the idea behind the comp, obviously. You use the Zarya's projected bubbles to try and get something in. Doomfist needs that almost, actually, when it comes to this one, because you're committing all your cooldowns to try and get a pick. You need something to try and get out alive. The Zarya bubble provides that. But now you can see, this is the real game that's at hand here, because the point is in control of the Spark, and they cap it up early, and the Chargers are happy to give this up. But if they can give it up and get a pick, it's worthwhile. Bebe falling means you don't have the Discord Orb anymore, you don't have the heals. And the Spark are actually probably just going to fall to pieces here. Nice initiation by Nero, gets whip-shotted backwards. Gushui falls, so it's an instant recap. And that was really nicely done by the Charge, I have to say.
It certainly was. They prioritized the kills over the objective, which is what you should do at the beginning of these kind of control maps. Now it comes down to how well they can stick people into the choke. The Diva from Sashin is much better at controlling space, and Krong really is just about trying to output damage and facilitate Nero. So Nero, a lot of responsibility on him to carry this round and keep the Charge in the series.
Well, Pulse Bomb is ready for Bazzi if he wants to try and use it. Try and clutch this one up. They need it. And it's a beautiful amount of bullets. Takes the nano boost to keep Nero up. Like very, very, very loaded punch of the Bazzi. He just walked straight into him. Provided him the shield he needed to survive, if you will. Doesn't want to try and size him slam. In fact, he's got no abilities to use. He gets caught out of position, but Gushui gets knocked, I believe, off the edge there by Rio. Environmental kills abound. Godsby has the blade, but the question is, you want to use that against the rallying Brigitte? Are you mad? That's just schoolboy errors there from Godsby. And I've got to say, maybe the pressure's getting to him a little bit.
Yeah, that was not a great play coming out from Godsby. He saw an opportunity, but just blinker vision onto the Brigitte, and he's opened the door here for the Guangzhou Charge. They're making full-scale changes on the side of the Spark, switching over to that normal meta composition of the Mei, the McCree, but this time the Rhine and the Zarya to try and bully their way through the choke point. Maybe use a bubble to try and get your way in, muscle your way through, stop Nero from punching somebody and getting an early kill.
Yeah.
The grab, though, is already up for Kwon.
And that's one of the another win condition. If this comp works out, exactly, able to get the Space Jam combo up for real. Here we go, as Power Driver gets shielded away, so Gushue was there, ready and waiting. Nero just still waiting for the go button, the opportunity. Big punch onto the wall here. Now it's go time. There you go, lay it down, and no one's able to touch the point. You don't even need the kills. The grab did all the work. And I gotta say, that comp, when it works, but the danger is always, you know, not being able to get a great foothold, not being able to build up the ultimates effectively to make it work. There we have it, 1-1 apiece. In map 5, these teams could not be more even.
They really couldn't. And they're both trying the same kind of stuff. Spark set the tempo early on this map by playing more of the IV disruption style with the Wrecking Ball, but now it's the Charge that are taking that style away from them and playing it better, I want to say. Nero on the Pharah, I've been wanting this entire series, so I'm glad that we're finally going to be able to see it. I think that the disruption and the pressure that comes down from Rio on the Wrecking Ball and Nero on the Pharah gives Charge the advantage here, unless Godsby hits some insane shots.
Rio's one of the players who I would personally consider to be one of the best, or one of the better Wrecking Balls in the league. He's almost fallen to the wayside.
Eamon always takes that title.
Yes, Eamon always takes that title, but he kind of falls within the shadow of Eamon, but still very, very serviceable.
Yes.
And this is the idea behind the comp, as you mentioned, Josh. Nero's going to try and pump in the damage. Ooh. It's up to the Spark to get picks like that. If Bazzi can hit those icicles onto Happy, one of the more susceptible targets, and he can get those insta-kills, that's how you set it up, and the freeze into the pin. I mean, it's an unorthodox combo, but it works. And now when the Spark have control of this point, finding a little bit more difficulty for the Guangzhou Charge to try and retake this one. However, they did use the Resurrect here onto Shu, so they have the heals now. And this is what the Charge are looking to achieve. They're trying to surround this point, pump in the spam damage, but the Spark are realistically holding all the cards when they're holding in this point.
Guangzhou Charge were running Eileen here, then maybe a Doomfist Pharah would have been an opportunity, or would have been an option rather. But Happy, that's really not in his wheelhouse. It's going to be hard for them to recontest this pool. They do have the poke from Nero, but Happy's going to have to do some crazy work.
Coalescence doesn't really get too much, brings him up very, very low, and I spoke too soon. Nero was set up there for the barrage. That was the 1-2 combo. Shu just getting the trickle damage needed to set them down low enough for Nero to really take advantage of it still. The Spark are in control at this point, and they look like they want to fight it. Bebe ends up using his Transcendence, keeping his team topped up. There's no Bionade to try and negate that kind of healing. Happy trying to work his way around there. Nero ends up collecting the kill onto Bebe. Eventually, it feels like the Charge should retake this one. Not without a fight here. As you can see, Gushue moves back into the fight, finally spawned. Happy using the pulse bomb will get the D-Mech here, and they have to start expending ultimates here because it's getting a little bit saucy. It's getting a little bit spicy. Spark's still able to try and recontest this. The wall will allow them control of the point once more. And the Spark are actually retaking this one. Gushue, though, doesn't have heals. His teammate just came in the nick of time, but Bebe on the Moira was not enough to keep him up. The Charge, as long as they clean up, Godsby, as they do, they are going to be able to recap this one.
Yeah, that was a lot more shaky than it should have been because Shu keeps getting picked. Shu's died twice now at the hands of Gushue in areas where he really shouldn't be dying when he's on the Moira. They're starting to build up ults now though, so they have the opportunity to use Grav. The thing is, who do you Grav here and what value do you really get out of it? Unless Nero has a barrage up, then okay, maybe you can grab one player, maybe 2 players max and get the kills on them and then it's effective, but Krom just really needs to throw it out and get whatever picks he can.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you get a solo grab onto Gushue, that's often worthwhile. The real question mark for me is this switch up over now over to a composition that's relying on this Nano Blade. Yes, you kind of need only really one team fight, and maybe you can get a couple of pickoffs if you coordinate it enough. The Charge kind of in control of this right now. The Pulse Bomb connects here onto Gushui, brings him very low. He has to skirt his way back out of it. Nero's going to be traded 1-for-1, but the Coalescence is going to be doing so much damage to them right now. The heals, as long as it's there. Neptuno does fall, but Shu, he needs to stay alive. 44 HP. Backs his way around the corner. Krong cleaning up the remnants on this point. That is necessary right now for the Charge.
Happy is absolutely outplaying Vazi when it comes to the Tracer situation. And with speed on Genji, where he's a little less comfortable than he is on Tracer, I dare say, this comp, I don't think they have the ability, the individual mechanical skill to be able to go toe-to-toe with the Guangzhou Charge.
You have to get a pick now off of this, because you're not building up the ultimates. There's not enough time.
This pulse bomb from Vazi, it's got to be huge.
Shu moves back here, but Krong's going to be looking to try and get a nice grab off. Try and push him away from the point, if you will. Look at him. Any sort of solo grab might work, and they pull them off the point with the grab! Guangzhou Charge, they take the series. They take the map, they take the series, they take it all. And just an absolute ludicrous display. Guangzhou Charge.
What a series, though.
I mean,
so back and
that's
forth.
absurd.
And both teams really showcasing that they can play that more disruptive style. But the Guangzhou Charge has the individual ability to be able to play whatever comp they want to play, as long as their teamwork is down. And the maps that they ended up really losing badly on were the maps where it's more difficult to be able to push, and where specifically
get the pickoffs or
where they had to really make magic happen. But in terms of the depth on this roster, they've got it all. Guangzhou Charge looking pretty solid tonight, even though it was a 3-2 series.
And it's hard to think of really a solid segment or a solid player of the match here. But I'm definitely, maybe it's my internal biases, I'm leaning towards Happy as an individual for really turning up there. But you can honestly give it to quite a lot of the players, I think, on the Guangzhou Charge.
Yeah, I think they played fairly well as a team. I think that Shu was pretty impressive while he was playing the Zenyatta. And I liked what I saw from Krong as well. I think Happy is kind of a good default position to go for, though, because he found the picks and found the important kills on the maps that they won when it mattered. So I'm pretty happy with that. Guangzhou Charge, I've been a fan of that team. I like the players that they've put together, and this is a good solid win over another competitive team. I thought this game would be very even, very difficult to call who the winner would be, and turns out the teams themselves couldn't even really decide, flip-flopping all over the place until the very final round.
Well, that's going to do it for us here for the Asian Games, at least. I want to give a special thank you to everybody watching us as well for sticking through, you know, some of the technical issues that we had a little bit earlier. But also want to give a special thank you to the production staff that you guys aren't seeing behind the scenes, because these guys have been working around the clock non-stop to try and bring you these games in these trying times, and Lord knows they are necessary. You know, everyone's a little bit bored in quarantine. We need a bit of a distraction from the world these days, so I do want to give a special thank you for that. But in terms of the games themselves, that's going to be it for the Asian Games. But at 12:30 Pacific time, there is going to be the Watchpoint pre-show, which is going to be taking place, and we're going to be seeing even more matches a little bit later on. So you can go to sleep now. More Overwatch. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody, for the Asian Games. In a couple of hours' time, you're going to be seeing even more for Day 2 of Week 8. Thank you very much, and we'll see you then.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Nice. Yeah, it was fun, honestly.